Chapter 527. After all, the Great Heaven Territory was one of the top forces in the celestial flowing boundary. Although the primordial divine crocodile clan was strong, there was no need for them to start a war with the Great Heaven Territory. Moreover, although Lu Zu's words sounded tough, he was actually giving in. Otherwise, with Lu Zu's temper, he would not have let the primordial divine crocodile take them away. The ancestral dragon and the vermilion bird will stay. Lu Zu waved his hand, indicating that the primordial divine crocodile could leave. The primordial divine crocodile did not say anything. He stepped into the void with Huang Dade and disappeared. At this moment, Jiang Chen's face darkened. He stared at the place where Huang Dade had disappeared and his heart sank. It was harder to get Huang Dade back from the primordial divine crocodile clan. If they were in the godless continent, Jiang Chen would have a way to get Huang Dade back. At the very least, he could use the forbidden arts and some spirit-slaying techniques. However, in the celestial flowing boundary, the forbidden arts could not be used. Most importantly, there were no heavenly beings in the celestial flowing boundary to back up Jiang Chen. Lu Zu, can you think of a way to get my brother back? Jiang Chen asked. Of course. Lu Zu nodded. However, he shook his head and said, Why should I help you? I will participate in the three-altar banquet for the Great Heaven Territory. In return, you help me get Huang Dade back. How about that? Jiang Chen said. Lu Zu shook his head again and said, Since you are in the Great Heaven Territory, you must participate in the three-altar banquet. This is non-negotiable. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed. He could not help but feel a tinge of anger in his heart. Obviously, the Great Heaven Territory was forcing Jiang Chen to participate in the three-altar banquet. Jiang Chen could not resist. If I win, can you help me get Huang Dade back? Jiang Chen asked. Just as I thought. Lu Zu nodded. As long as you win, I will help you get Huang Dade back. Having said that, Lu Zu chuckled. He shook his head at Jiang Chen and said, However, your strength is not enough. The Great Heaven Abode's hopes are all on the glittering Martial Tower. As for the few of you, you're just there to serve as a foil, Lu Zu said. As soon as he said this, Jiang Chen chuckled and didn't want to say anything more. With his current cultivation and strength, he really wasn't a match for glittering Martial Tower. However, Nian Chang'e sneered and said disdainfully, What is the glittering Martial Tower? So what if he was the holy son of the Martial Pavilion? Who isn't a saint? Oh? You are? The ancestor looked at the confident Nian Chang'e and curiously asked, Where are you from? I'm Nian Chang'e, the holy son of Skirich Temple from Godless Continent. Nian Chang'e's expression turned serious. Have you heard of Skirich Temple? However, after he said that, Lu Zu frowned and shook his head. Never heard of it. Then, he turned to look at Lu Yang and the others. Lu Yang and the others shook their heads, indicating that they had never heard of the Heavenly Shrine. This made Nian Chang'e feel awkward. He secretly thought that the Heavenly Shrine's strength and foundation were not inferior to the Martial Pavilions. Currently, there was only the Martial Pavilion in this world, but not the Heavenly Shrine. Why don't I have a fight with him? Nian Chang'e raised his eyebrows. We'll know who's stronger and who's weaker during the three-altar banquet. Lu Zu said, In short, if you can win for the Great Heaven Abode, I'll personally help you get Huang Dade back. Moreover, I can protect you until you leave the flowing sky boundary. Of course, Lu Zu didn't say that if they wanted his protection, they would have to bring him out of the flowing sky boundary. However, this was a story for another time. After all, even if they won the three-altar banquet, they might not be able to make it to the top 10 and reach the end of the bloody road. After that, Lu Zu and the others left, while Jiang Chen and the others went to Nian Chang'e's room. Boss, you have to help Huang Dade. Although he's usually unreliable, especially perverted, he's a good bird. Long Dade tugged at Jiang Chen's sleeve and blinked his seemingly innocent eyes. If he stays in the flowing sky boundary, as his big brother, I can't just stand by and watch. At most, I'll stay in the flowing sky boundary with him. Yes. If Huang Dade doesn't leave, I won't leave either, Bird Dade said hurriedly. When Jiangchen heard that, his face darkened. He glared at the dragon and bird and said, If you didn't cause trouble, would Huang Dade have been taken away by the primordial divine crocodile? Who would have thought that this would happen? Long Dade quibbled. Moreover, we didn't bully him. You didn't bully him? The daughter of the chieftain of the ancient divine crocodile clan is pregnant with Huang Dade's child, but he wants to leave. You call that not bullying? Jiangchen rolled his eyes. He thought to himself that Huang Dade was really heartless. Boss, as long as you win the 3-altar banquet, Lu Zhu can help us get Huang Dade back, Bird Dade said. However, just as he said that, Nian Chang'e curled her lips and said, Who do you think is more powerful, Lu Zhu or the primordial divine crocodile clan's patriarch? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present instantly fell silent. Under normal circumstances, the human race would definitely be inferior to the primordial divine crocodile clan at the same cultivation level. This was the advantage of the race, and it was difficult to overcome it. Even if we win, Lu Zhu might not be able to get Huang Dade back, Nian Chang'e said in a low voice. Then what should we do? Jiangchen frowned. Was this over? Perhaps, after you get back your own things, there will be a glimmer of hope, Nian Chang'e said. Get back the corpse of your third life and merge with it. That will have to wait until I break through to the divine realm, Jiangchen said. Moreover, we are about to participate in the 3-altar banquet. How can I have the time to get back the corpse of my third life? So, the plan now is to participate in the 3-altar banquet first, Nian Chang'e said, a trace of fierceness flashing in her eyes. Nian Chang'e thought to himself, At worst, I'll break this bloody path. One had to know that Nian Chang'e's methods were heaven-defying. In fact, he could freely enter and exit the bloody path. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to help Sei Tseng escape. Boss, when we came here, we heard a piece of news. At this moment, Long Dade's expression was strange as he muttered, There's a little Taoist who seems to have stolen a corpse from the burial plains. When these words came out, Jiangchen was stunned for a moment, and Nian Chang'e jumped up. A corpse was stolen from the burial plains. What other corpse could there be under the burial plains? Other than the corpse of Jiangchen's third life, what else could there be? The F***CK stole the corpse of my third life. After a few breaths, Jiangchen reacted and immediately cursed. Which wicked bastard did it? This? Hurry up and find it. Nian Chang'e was also anxious. That was the important thing that Jiangchen wanted to return. It must not be lost. I heard that it's a little Taoist who seems to be from an ancient sect. I think it's called Stealing Heaven Sect, Long Dade said. Chapter 528. Thieving Heaven Sect? What? That sect is still around? Jiangchen and Nian Chang'e exclaimed in shock. Their faces fell. That was because Thieving Heaven Sect was a group of tomb robbers. Thieving Heaven Sect was once glorious, but they had robbed too many tombs. They even robbed the tombs of other top sects' ancestors. In the end, those top sects could not bear it anymore and joined forces to destroy Thieving Heaven Sect. Now, Thieving Heaven Sect had reappeared. And this time, they had stolen the body of Jiangchen's third reincarnation. It's hard to get back the things that were stolen by Thieving Heaven Sect. Nian Chang'e smiled bitterly and patted Jiangchen's shoulder, comforting him. My condolences, what the F***CK? Jiangchen could not help but curse. That bastard was so wicked that he even stole the body of his third reincarnation. What was the use of stealing the body? Hurry up and find that bastard, Jiangchen said in a deep voice. The body of his third reincarnation was the key to his recovery of his memories. It was like a key. Without the body of his third reincarnation, Jiangchen would not be able to recover his memories for the rest of his life. But now, in the vast sea of people in the flowing heaven boundary, where could he find that bastard? As long as he's still in the flowing heaven boundary, we can find him, Nian Chang'e said. I'm afraid we can't find him, Jiangchen sighed. Thieving Heaven sect had provoked public anger and was destroyed. Now that they had reappeared, they would definitely keep a low profile. In this way, it would be very difficult to find that bastard of Thieving Heaven sect. They might not even be able to find him in their lifetime. Let's ask Great Heaven sect for help. We will help Great Heaven sect participate in the three-altar banquet, and they will help us find someone. This is not too much to ask. Great Heaven sect should agree. Go and discuss with Lu Yang. Jiangchen was not in a good mood. After saying this, he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. The opening of the three-altar banquet was getting closer and closer. Jiangchen had to seize the time to increase his cultivation. It would be best if he could enter the divine realm before the opening of the three-altar banquet. Otherwise, Jiangchen would be in danger. One had to know that the battles at the three-altar banquet were all battles of life and death. In a battle between two people, only one could survive. I say, if you break through, what will happen to the heavenly tribulation? Nianchanga asked. Let him be. Jiangchen sighed. Having accumulated too many heavenly tribulations, Jiangchen no longer had any confidence. At that time, if he really died under the heavenly tribulation, that would be a little funny. The dignified god King Tianchen was struck to death by the heavenly tribulation. This, one day later, when Jiangchen was cultivating, the door to his room was pushed open. Then, glittering Jewel Marshal Tower walked in with an unpleasant expression on his face. Jiangchen opened his eyes. His pupils constricted as he asked, Is something the matter? I have something to discuss with you, Linlang Marshal Tower said in a low voice. If you don't want to die, join hands with me. What do you mean? Jiangchen frowned, puzzled. How could Linlang Wutua not know about his relationship with the Martial Pavilion? They were mortal enemies. Since they were mortal enemies, why would Linlang Wutua dare to join hands with him? Now, if not for the great heaven abode suppressing him, Jiangchen would have long taken action. 9 clouds heaven's saint and upper and lower universes saints will both participate in the three-altar banquet, Linlang Wutua said in a low voice. You should know that the battles at the three-altar banquet are all life and death battles. So what? Jiangchen raised his brows. Without experiencing life and death, how can there be glory? There are also many top prodigies participating in the three-altar banquet, Linlang Wutua said. And the first battle of the three-altar banquet is a free-for-all. Oh? A free-for-all? Jiangchen said softly. If it was a free-for-all, it would be a little troublesome. At that time, with a group of top prodigies fighting together, with Jiangchen's cultivation and identity, it would be very easy to target him. However, what did this have to do with Linlang Wutua? As the Martial Pavilion's saint, his identity was extraordinary. People like the Dark Saint and the rest definitely would not make a move against him. Then, what did Linlang Wutua have to worry about? Was there a need to join forces with Jiangchen? The Martial Pavilion's sworn enemy, the Mu Palace's young master, has also appeared, Linlang Wutua said. And I heard, the descendants of the 18 families will also participate in the three-altar banquet this time. The descendants of the 18 families? Jiangchen was stunned and somewhat in disbelief. One had to know that the 18 families guarded the bloody path. They would not interfere with anything on the bloody path, let alone participate in the three-altar banquet. But now, what was going on with the 18 families? Why was it a little different from before? Do you believe that the 18 families want to use this opportunity to kill us outsiders? Linlang Wutua said in a low voice. They are not the people guarding the bloody path, but the great sinners imprisoned in the bloody path. This? How do you know about this? Jiangchen asked as he stared at Linlang Wutua. A wisp of divine consciousness quietly covered Linlang Wutuo's body. At that moment, as long as Linlang Wutuo was lying, Jiangchen would be able to sense it. Lu Zhu said so, Linlang Wutuo said. Back then, the flowing heaven world was destroyed, and a large number of gods fell. The main reason was the invasion of the other realm. But in the process of the other realm's invasion, a group of people from the flowing heaven world surrendered to the other realm. Linlang Wutuo continued. As for the descendants of those who defected, they have been imprisoned in the celestial flow domain for generations. Their descendants are the 18 families today? Jiang Chen asked, but he already had an answer in his heart. But so what if the 18 families were great sinners? The bloody path had been opened before, but the 18 families had never done anything to the trial takers. What was going on now? Were the 18 families planning to make a move? Why was this so? Could it be that after killing the outsiders, the people from the 18 families would be able to leave the bloody path? Moreover, the people who came in for the trial did not have high cultivation. If the 18 families really wanted to kill the trial takers, they could send out heaven realm powerhouses. One palm could wipe out a large group of people. Why did they have to go through so much trouble? What else did the Lu Zhu say? Jiang Chen asked. He didn't say anything else. I only know that the 3 altar feast this time is a death trap for us trial takers. Linlang Wutuo said in a low voice. If we want to live, we have to work together. Otherwise, we'll definitely be defeated one by one, and die in the 3 altar feast. Work together? Forget it. Jiang Chen frowned and stared at Linlang Wutuo, saying, I'm not used to working with enemies, let alone mortal enemies. After saying that, Jiang Chen shrugged indifferently and said, I've already died a few times. What's the harm in dying again? Anyway, I don't mind. Hearing that, Linlang Wutuo's expression turned serious. Killing intent appeared in his eyes as he stared at Jiang Chen, saying, You can only live if you work with me. Even if I don't join hands with you, I can still survive. Jiang Chen said mockingly. But you, if no one works with you, I'm afraid you won't be able to live, right? Chapter 529. The battles at the 3 altar feast were all battles of life and death. Although Jiang Chen was weaker, he wasn't afraid. After all, he was about to break through to the immortal state. With Jiang Chen's battle prowess as a great sage, he could compete with the immortal state prodigy. However, it was difficult to gain an advantage, and there was a little risk. Moreover, teaming up with the glittering martial tower was like asking a tiger for its skin. No matter how stupid Jiang Chen was, he wouldn't team up with the glittering martial tower. Moreover, Jiang Chen had Nian Chang'e, Long Dade, and Bird Dade by his side. Why would he team up with the glittering martial tower? On the other hand, the glittering martial tower was alone in the great heaven sanctum. If Jiang Chen and the others didn't team up with him, the glittering martial tower would have no one to team up with. When the 3 altar feast started, the glittering martial tower would be participating alone. At that time, the glittering martial tower would have a slim chance of survival. You will regret this! The glittering martial tower glared at Jiang Chen, suppressed the killing intent in his heart, and turned to leave. Jiang Chen didn't mind and continued to cultivate. Half a day later, Nian Chang'e came to Jiang Chen and said, The glittering martial tower ran away. The great heaven sanctum sent a large number of experts to chase after him, but there was no result. Oh? Ran away? Jiang Chen was stunned. The holy prince of the martial pavilion, the son of the glittering martial tower, actually ran away? It seemed that the glittering martial tower really didn't dare to participate in the 3 altar feast. Someone saw him running in the direction of the Yin village. He might have gone to join them, Nian Chang'e said. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chen couldn't help but be taken aback. He said, You joined the great heaven territory's enemy? Will the great heaven sanctum let him go? Definitely not, Nian Chang'e said. But if he helps Yin Jiazhuang win the championship, Yin Jiazhuang will protect him. Him? Win? Jiang Chen pursed his lips. Although he had never fought with Linlang Wutuo before, Jiang Chen knew how strong Linlang Wutuo was based on his aura. That guy was probably like what Nian Chang'e said. He relied on his father to become the holy son of the martial pavilion. At least, in Jiang Chen's opinion, the glittering martial tower was not very strong. The Yin family village has 2 saints from the heaven and earth sect. Nian Chang'e frowned. If he joins forces with the 2 saints of heaven and earth sect, it's not impossible for him to win. Moreover, I've never fought Glittering Marshal before. It's hard to say whether he's strong or weak. Jiang Chen nodded slightly. Although he looked down on Glittering Jewel Marshal Tower, he couldn't underestimate him. What if that brat was pretending to be weak? Don't worry about him. The 3 Jars banquet this time might be a death trap. Jiang Chen sighed. Then, Jiang Chen's expression turned strange again. He asked, "Did you find that bastard from the Heaven Pilfering sect?" "I found him." Nian Changa's expression was also strange. He pointed outside and said, "He's in the Great Heaven territory." "What? Where?" Jiang Chen immediately stood up, his face dark. He was so angry that he was about to explode. "How dare you steal the body of my third life? Are you King tired of living? He'll represent the Great Heaven territory in the 3 Jars banquet with us," Nian Changa said. "Now that we're all on the same side, the Great Heaven territory will not allow us to do anything to him." "Then what about my third life's body?" Jiang Chen's face darkened. He ground his teeth, wishing he could kill that bastard. "We'll talk about it after the 3 Jars banquet is over," Nian Changa said. "As long as that bastard is still around, there's no need to worry about not being able to make him hand over his body. I've heard a lot about you, Divine King Tianchen. Today, I have the opportunity to visit you." At this moment, a young Taoist came to the front of the house. He was fair and chubby. He was not tall and was 1 head shorter than Jiang Chen. This young Taoist looked quite honest and naive. But in fact, this young Taoist was the disciple of the Heaven Pilfering sect, the bastard who stole the body of Jiang Chen's third life. "Is that him?" At this moment, Jiang Chen was grinding his teeth. His words were almost squeezed out through the gaps between his teeth. This was because Jiang Chen was too angry. "It's him. Don't do anything to him." Nian Changa hurriedly stopped Jiang Chen and reminded him. "He's now on the same side as us. The reincarnation of Divine King Tianchen is indeed extraordinary in appearance and bearing." At this moment, the young Taoist walked in and bragged to Jiang Chen. After he spoke, before Jiang Chen could speak, the young Taoist squinted his eyes and put on a thievish look. He even approached Jiang Chen and whispered in his ear, "Reincarnation of the Divine King, I got something good recently. Are you interested in collecting it?" "What is it?" Jiang Chen's expression was ugly. Looking at the young Taoist in front of him, he wanted nothing more than to slap him. Divine King Tianchen's body. The young Taoist raised his eyebrows and said, "This is good stuff. If you can fuse with this body, you can obtain a portion of Divine King Tianchen's cultivation and inheritance." At this moment, Jiang Chen glanced at Nian Changa. Both of them were speechless. "Damn it, don't you know that Divine King Tianchen is my third life? You stole my third life's body and now you're showing off in front of me? Damn it, really." Jiang Chen gritted his teeth. His aura erupted and the brilliance of the sun and moon floated in his eyes. Jiang Chen could not hold it in any longer. "However, this body is very difficult to fuse with. I've tried. There's a special imprint on the body. It seems like something needs to be opened," the young Taoist continued. He did not see Jiang Chen's murderous look at all. "I say, can you let me see that body?" Jiang Chen suppressed the anger in his heart and asked through gritted teeth. "That thing can't be carried around. I placed it in a very safe place," the young Taoist said. "You are the reincarnation of Divine King Tianchen, so you must know a lot of things. When the 3 Jars feast is over, I'll bring you to take a look. You might have a way to open the imprint on the body." "I have a way to open it. Can't I do anything about my own body?" Jiang Chen roared in his heart, but he still suppressed his anger and said with a smile, "All right. That's right, since you reincarnated, then your previous life's physical body." The little Taoist asked with a smile, "Did your physical body stay in the 9 heavens divine realm, or did it land on the godless continent?" At this moment, Jiang Chen and Nian Changa were completely dumbfounded. "What's wrong with you? You stole this king's third life's body, and now you're hitting this king's previous life's corpse. I say, aren't you going too far? You. What kind of look is that? Don't misunderstand, I'm just asking casually. The young Taoist looked at Jiang Chen's eyes that were about to spit fire. Only then did he react and said weakly, I don't have any hobbies, I just like to collect things. You like to collect corpses? Jiang Chen said coldly. This hobby is not bad, I'm afraid that I won't be able to find a grandson like you among millions of people. You are a genius. Of course. Which disciple of my stealing heaven sect isn't a 1 in a million genius? The young Taoist said with a proud face. He really thought that Jiang Chen was praising him. Chapter 530. The little Taoist was immensely pleased with himself, and was very satisfied with his love. But to Jiang Chen, this little Taoist was simply courting death. If not for the fact that they were in the great heaven territory, with Jiang Chen's temper, he would have already attacked. Even if he didn't kill this little Taoist, he would still beat him until his skin and flesh split open. You might not know, but after I was born, I collected more than a dozen corpses. Those without corpses all had great backgrounds when they were alive, the little Taoist said proudly. Not to mention the heaven origin divine king's corpse, I still have 2 corpses of other divine kings. When these words came out, Jiang Chen only felt a chill and didn't care much. After all, what Jiang Chen cared about was the physical body of his third life. But when Yan Chang'e heard this, her expression couldn't help but become strange. She muttered and asked, There are 2 more corpses of divine kings? Which 2? Humph, you might not believe it. The little Taoist raised his eyebrows, stuck out his little belly, and said, One is the corpse of the heaven origin divine king buried under the North Ice Snow Mountain. The other is. However, before the little Taoist finished speaking, Yan Chang'e's expression suddenly changed. She grabbed the little Taoist's shoulder and asked with a serious look, The corpse of the heaven origin divine king? Of course. The little Taoist said. You don't believe it? It's not that I don't believe it, but I don't dare to believe it. Yan Chang'e covered her face, poked Jiang Chen's shoulder, and said telepathically, The heaven origin divine king, your 4th life, ah? Jiang Chen was stunned. After all, he had lost the memories of his previous lives. How could Jiang Chen know what his 4th life was? However, after a few breaths, Jiang Chen reacted and immediately went berserk. His hair danced wildly, the brilliance of the sun and moon flickered in his eyes, and his aura skyrocketed. Beside him, runes appeared and flickered, and there were wind, rain, thunder, and lightning floating around him. Grandson! You and I are fated to meet, Jiang Chen said through gritted teeth. His eyes were spitting fire as he raised his palm and was about to land it on the young Taoist. The little Taoist was dumbfounded. They were talking nicely, so why did they suddenly want to make a move? What's going on? Calm down! Yan Chang'e held down Jiang Chen and patted Jiang Chen's chest, comforting him. Calm down, don't worry, calm down, what the F***ck, do you think I can hold on? Jiang Chen roared. He felt like he was about to explode. The fury in his heart was about to burst out. Where's the corpse of the profound sky divine king? At this moment, Yan Chang'e forcibly held down Jiang Chen and asked the little Taoist. It's still here, the little Taoist said. Don't mention it. The profound sky divine king also has that strange imprint on his body. I can't open it. Otherwise I would have merged with the profound sky supreme being's body long ago. As soon as he said this, Jiang Chen violently coughed a few times and then spat out a mouthful of blood. Grandson. It's fine if you F***king stole one of my bodies, but you even stole 2 of them. It's fine if it's 2, but you F***king plan to fuse with them. Jiang Chen roared in his heart, but he was firmly pressed down by Yan Chang'e, unable to move. Fortunately. Yan Chang'e heaved a sigh of relief, deeply afraid that something would happen to Jiang Chen's body in his previous life. At that time, Jiang Chen would not be able to return. The 2 bodies of the profound sky divine king and the profound sky divine king are nothing. You don't know that I even stole a corpse from an ancient ruin, the little Taoist said with a face full of pride. According to my guess and understanding, that corpse is most likely. Without waiting for the little Taoist to finish speaking, Jiang Chen's face was deathly pale as he sent a voice transmission to Nian Chang'e. How many bodies do I still have buried in this world? A total of 8 bodies, Nian Chang'e said, breaking out in a cold sweat for Jiang Chen in his heart. They were all guessing that the third body that the little Taoist had stolen couldn't also be Jiang Chen's, right? If that was the case, then if Jiang Chen went berserk, even Nian Chang'e wouldn't be able to stop him. What do you two mean? Let me finish. The little Taoist was very dissatisfied. As he spoke, he was continuously interrupted and felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Then, he coughed a few times, his face full of arrogance, and said, That body's corpse is very likely the corpse of the Chang'an clan's ancestor. What? Eh? At this moment, Jiang Chen was stunned, while Nian Chang'e cried out in surprise. The corpse of the Chang'an clan's ancestor? Jiang Chen blinked his eyes, looked at Nian Chang'e, and asked, Your current body is not the original one? Don't mention it. The original one was too badly injured. I nurtured him in a ruin. Nian Chang'e transmitted his voice. After saying that, Nian Chang'e's expression became more and more strange. He stared at the little Taoist and asked, Then, where did you find that corpse? Where else can it be? Of course it's the ancient Chang'an city, the little Taoist said. That place is very dangerous. There are great killing arrays everywhere. I also spent 3 years to get in. Pfft. When Nian Chang'e heard this, his face turned pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body was trembling, his face turned from pale to red, the veins on his forehead bulged, and the aura on his body soared. When Jiang Chen saw Nian Chang'e like this, he knew that the third body that the little Taoist had stolen was Nian Chang'e's. Steady! Don't worry! Steady! This time, it was Jiang Chen's turn to hurriedly hug Nian Chang'e, patting his chest to comfort him. Don't stop me. I'm going to kill this grandson. Nian Chang'e was furious. He didn't expect his body to be gone just like that. The little Taoist also reacted. He looked at Nian Chang'e with a strange expression and asked, Does it have anything to do with you? What do you think? Nian Chang'e was truly angry. He stared at the little fatty and asked, Where is the corpse now? Is there any damage? It's fine. I kept it in a secret place. The little Taoist said, I've thought about it. When the time comes, if the bodies of the 2 divine kings, Tianyuan and Tianxian, can't be fused, then I'll fuse with the body in Chang'an. How dare you! I'll slap you to death! Nian Chang'e exploded. After shaking off Jiang Chen, the 36 lotuses appeared, and the mysterious light fluctuated. As his palm fell, it was as if the sky was falling. It was even more like a universe that wanted to suppress the little Taoist. What are you doing? I'm sharing my secret with you. How can you attack me? The little Taoist cried out. His body suddenly stopped, and he rushed into the ground. This was the secret technique of the Stealing Heaven sect, Heaven Ascension Escape. This secret technique could not only allow one to escape into the ground, but it could also allow one to ascend into the sky. It was precisely because of this secret technique that the Stealing Heaven sect could easily enter and exit the various secret realms, ruins, and even forbidden grounds. Secret. That's my body. Nian Chang'e could no longer hold it in. With a furious roar, the 36 lotuses spread out and sealed off this space. Chapter 531. 36 lotuses were ever-changing, and their power was unpredictable. At this moment, the 36 lotuses spread out like a boundary, sealing off this space. The little Taoist was forced to reveal himself. He stared at Nian Chang'e in horror and exclaimed, That's your body? Your Chang'an? Bastard! Hand over my body! Nian Chang'e roared, his eyes spitting fire. Jiang Chen's mouth twitched. He glanced at Nian Chang'e and thought to himself, You're not good enough. Just now, he was persuading Jiang Chen not to be anxious and calm down. Now, he was the one who went berserk. "You can't do anything to me," the little Taoist muttered. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he said mockingly, "Can I give back what I took away? There's no such thing in this world." "Aren't you going to give it back?" Nyan Changa roared. His palm was like a mountain tablet, exuding a pitch-black luster, and it even crushed a part of the void. However, the little Taoist was not afraid. He took a step forward, and his body soared up like a kunping, breaking through the seal of the 36 lotuses. Ascending heaven escape? Nyan Changa's face turned ugly. The spiritual power in his body turned into chains and flew toward the little Taoist. The little Taoist did not resist. After rushing out of the seal of the 36 lotuses, he screamed, "Mansion Master! He wants to kill me!" Jiang Chen and the others were here to help the Great Heaven Mansion participate in the three-altar banquet. Naturally, the Great Heaven Mansion would not let any accidents happen to them. After the little Taoist screamed, Lu Yang immediately appeared. With a wave of his hand, he shook the 36 lotuses back into Nyan Changa's body and neutralized Nyan Changa's attack. Then, Lu Yang's face turned gloomy. He stared at Nyan Changa and scolded angrily. "The three-altar banquet is about to start, and you still have the mood to fight among yourselves? If you lose in the three-altar banquet, it's equivalent to death." Hearing this, Nyan Changa did not speak. Instead, he stared at the little Taoist with cold eyes. Seeing this, the little Taoist trembled and smiled embarrassedly. He then looked at Lu Yang and said, "It's okay, we're just playing around." "Stop it!" Lu Yang said in a deep voice. After saying that, Lu Yang glared at Nyan Changa and left. At this moment, the little Taoist smiled embarrassedly. He looked at Nyan Changa and said, "Don't worry, I won't reveal your identity." After he finished speaking, the little Taoist looked at Jiang Chen with a rather strange expression. "Looking at your complexion and emotions earlier, could it be that the corporeal bodies of the Heaven Origin Divine King and the Profound Sky Divine King?" The little Taoist muttered. It would have been better if he hadn't said that. The moment he said it, Jiang Chen's face darkened. Nyan Changa lost one body, while Jiang Chen lost two. "What do you think?" At this moment, Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and stared at the little Taoist. He asked in a deep voice, "Do you have anything to say?" When the little Taoist heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. He was a little confused, and even more shocked. One was the patriarch of the Chang'an clan, and the other was him? "You are." The little Taoist's expression was tense as he stared at Jiang Chen. But before he could speak, Nyan Changa rebuked angrily. "Shut up." Only at this moment did the little Taoist react. He covered his mouth very exaggeratedly, and shook his head vigorously. He was really scared. Only because that person's name was a taboo. Not to be mentioned. And that person was Jiang Chen's first life. Then, let's talk about the conditions now, how about it? After a few breaths, the little Taoist seemed to have calmed down. That harmless smile appeared on his face again. It was just that wisp of sly light flickered in his eyes, making people feel very uncomfortable and very disharmonious. As long as you hand over the corporeal body, everything is negotiable, Nyan Changa said in a deep voice. Back then, Nyan Changa broke free, but his corporeal body suffered tremendous injuries. Helpless, he stole the sky and swapped the sun, changing a corporeal body, and stored his original corporeal body in a ruin, using time to nurture it. Now, calculating that the injuries on that corporeal body were more or less healed, it was also time to take it back. But who could have thought that this thieving Taoist was actually a step ahead? One had to know, if Nyan Changa could not take back his corporeal body, he would not be able to recover to his peak state. I haven't thought of the conditions yet. The little Taoist smiled mockingly and said, Wait until I think it through, then I'll tell you guys. You don't go too far, Jiang Chen said in a cold voice. At most, I don't want those few corporeal bodies. Oh? Then you don't want the other few corporeal bodies either? The little Taoist raised his eyebrows and said slyly, the corporeal bodies of your previous 8 lives too are in my hands. The remaining corporeal body, which is your corporeal body as Divine King Tianchen, is in the 9 heavens divine world. As for the other 5 corporeal bodies. As Jiangchen listened, his expression became increasingly ugly. He stared at the little Taoist and said softly, "Why? The other 5 corporeal bodies are also with you." "That's not it." The little Taoist shook his head. "How can I have such great capabilities? It's just that I know where those 5 corporeal bodies are buried." "So?" Jiangchen raised his eyebrows, killing intent appearing in his eyes. "So, if you don't talk to me about a condition, do you believe that I won't steal your remaining 5 corporeal bodies?" the little Taoist said. When these words came out, Jiangchen immediately exploded. "What the hell do you mean? Stealing 2 corporeal bodies was not enough, and you still want to steal the other 5 corporeal bodies? Are you trying to rob me of all my assets?" Even Yanchanga, who was at the side, was speechless. She thought to herself that the people of the heaven-stealing sect really couldn't be offended. Robbing your tomb at the drop of a hat, robbing your corpse. "How about this, you guys promise not to kill me first?" The little Taoist ignored the furious Jiangchen and Yanchanga, frowned, and said, "If I don't die at the 3 Jars feast, I will return Heaven Origin Divine King's body to you first." "And then?" Jiangchen asked. "When I leave the bloody path alive, I will return Heaven Profound Divine King and Chang'an's corporeal bodies to you," the little Taoist said. Jiangchen and Yanchanga could naturally accept this condition. But when the little Taoist raised another condition, Jiangchen and Yanchanga's faces fell. "After we leave, my heaven-stealing sect will truly come into being. At that time, I hope that the Heavenly Temple and the Chuanzuan sect will support the heaven-stealing sect. Stand on the same side as my heaven-stealing sect," the little Taoist said. Without waiting for Jiangchen and Yanchanga to speak, the little Taoist smiled and said, "If you don't agree, don't even think about taking back a single one of your corporeal bodies. The heaven-stealing sect's reputation is so bad, just like a rat crossing the street," Yanchanga said coldly. "How can my heavenly temple be in cahoots with the heaven-stealing sect? Walking together with the heaven-stealing sect, my Chuanzuan sect's reputation." Jiangchen thought, "I'm afraid that my lifelong reputation will be ruined." However, their corporeal bodies were in the hands of the little Taoist, so they had no choice but to agree. Especially Jiangchen, it could be said that his 7 corporeal bodies were all in the hands of this bastard Taoist. "Okay. I promise you." After thinking carefully, Jiangchen could only agree. After all, the corporeal bodies of his previous lives were still important. But Yanchanga could not agree. After all, he was not in charge of the heavenly temple, but his mysterious and strange master. If his master did not agree, it was useless even if Yanchanga agreed. Chapter 532. Your conditions can only be decided after I leave the blood path and discuss with my master, Yanchanga said honestly. It's okay. I believe your master will agree. The little Taoist smiled. Just like that, the 3 of them reached an agreement, but Jiangchen and Yanchanga were very unhappy. Their bodies were stolen, and now they still had to negotiate with others. It was too sullen. If you die at the 3 Jars banquet, or on the blood path. Jiangchen frowned. If the little Taoist died, where could they find their bodies? "So, from now on you have to protect me," the little Taoist said jokingly. Then, he coughed and said seriously, "Just call me Mu Yid." "Mu Yid? You really have no F***king morals." Jiangchen and Yanchanga's faces fell. The little Taoist's name and his behavior really matched each other. 3 virtuous beings plus this Mu Yid. Jiangchen had a strange expression and muttered, "If these 4 guys meet together." Haha! The 3 virtuous beings were already a scourge. If this Mu Yid was added in the future, then these 4 people would be in big trouble. Jiangchen had already decided that after he got his body back, he would definitely not let the three virtuous beings get along with Mu Yud. Otherwise, these four scourges would be too dangerous. Who knows when the sky would be pierced through? Let's go! A few days later, Lu Yang gathered Jiang Chen and the others. Then, the group flew into the sky and flew toward the location of the Three Jars banquet. Along the way, no one spoke, and the atmosphere was a little tense. After all, the battles at the Three Jars banquet were all battles of life and death. Even Jiang Chen was not 100% sure that he could survive. What's wrong with you? After half an hour, when the group arrived at an ancient city, Nian Chunga found that Jiang Chen's expression was not right. I think I'm about to break through. Jiang Chen frowned. The aura in his body was chaotic, and his cultivation was constantly increasing. However, Jiang Chen suppressed it. Because once he breaks through, all the accumulated God's trial will explode. Just think about it. When numerous heavenly tribulations were mixed together and descended, the scene and might would probably even strike a true God to death. Brother! Let me know before you break through. I'll go somewhere else to hide, Nian Changda said. She was afraid that she would be involved in Jiang Chen's heavenly tribulation. Lu Yang also noticed that something was wrong with Jiang Chen's situation. However, he didn't know that Jiang Chen was suppressing his cultivation realm. He also didn't know what would happen after Jiang Chen broke through. He stared at Jiang Chen and said, "Adjust your condition. If you lose, you'll lose your life. I'm fine like this." Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. How would he dare to adjust his state of mind? One had to know that Jiang Chen was using almost all of his strength to suppress his cultivation. Otherwise, he would have broken through long ago. "Boss! Say, if your heavenly tribulation falls here," Bird Dade said with a sly face. "Strike these bastards to death? Here? I'm afraid even the entire ancient city will be destroyed." Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. Jiang Chen had a feeling that when he broke through this time, the heavenly tribulation would definitely be terrifying. One had to know that this was the God realm's heavenly tribulation. What was the God realm? It was a realm that already had part of the power of a god. This realm had extraordinary abilities. The heavenly tribulation it attracted was like a god tribulation. Pay attention to the three altar banquet this time. Try to get first place, Lu Yang said. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He reminded, "Be careful of the people from the 18 families. Lin Lang Wuta told me," Jiang Chen said in a low voice. "Haven't the local sects and forces of the flowing heaven world thought of dealing with the 18 families?" "Yes." Lu Yang nodded, but he was also helpless. "The 18 families are very strong. Now that they are deeply rooted in the flowing heaven world, they are far from what we can fight against. If we really go to war with the 18 families, we will need to use the strongest foundation of all the sects and forces of the flowing heaven world," Lu Yang explained. "However, the 18 families and the local sects and forces of the flowing heaven world probably don't have any conflicts. It's not worth it for us to deal with them." "Then what if there is a conflict?" Jiang Chen asked. One had to know that the 18 families had never interfered with the local affairs of the flowing heaven world. But today, the 18 families sent people to participate in the three altar banquet. According to Lu Yang, the 18 families were specially sent to deal with outsiders like Jiang Chen. But no one could be sure of the truth. Perhaps, the 18 families had other motives. "If there is a conflict..." "Heh!" Lu Yang snorted. "At most, we will release those seals." "What seals?" Jiang Chen asked. Hearing this, Lu Yang did not continue speaking, but Nian Chang'e secretly transmitted a voice. "Of course, it's the seals that seal those who are truly guarding the bloody path." Back then, Nian Chang'e, Zaid Sang, Yumiaba, and the rest were all sealed here. Nian Chang'e escaped, Zaid Sang was also rescued by Nian Chang'e, and now, Yumiaba was still trapped in the immortal pit. And other than that, there were definitely others. If those people were to escape, it would not be a good thing for the 18 families. "How many are still sealed?" Jiang Chen asked. "Other than Yumiaba, there are 2 more," Nian Chang'e said. I will tell you in detail in the future. Mansion Master Liu Yang, long time no see. At this moment, a group of people walked over from afar. The person leading them was the manor master of the Yin village, Yin Chai. Behind him were 5 youths. Jiang Qin did not recognize 3 of them, but he was very familiar with one of them. That person was Lin Lang Wu Tuo. The one in black is the saint of the lower universe. The one in white is the saint of the upper universe. I don't recognize the other 2, Nian Changde said. There are so many prodigies entering the bloody path. No one can recognize all of them, Mu Yude said. But they should all be very strong. Then Mu Yude's face turned serious, and he said confidently, So what if they're strong? Sometimes strength does not depend on strength. Oh? Then what does it depend on? Opportunity? Creation? Luck? Jiang Chun was very curious. Hearing Mu Yude's words, he thought to himself, this guy seems to have some connections. There seems to be a hidden meaning in his words. It depends on looks. Like me, I'm unparalleled in the world, and I have the looks of a generation. Mu Yude touched his chubby cheeks and said, Being strong is temporary. Being handsome is for life. Sorry to disturb you. Jiang Chen's face fell. He thought that he was overthinking. He thought that Mu Yude's words really did have a hidden meaning. Who would have thought that? It was a scam. Chapter 533. Yin Jiazhuang and Great Heaven Abode were sworn enemies. However, Yin Jiazhuang had always been suppressed by Great Heaven Abode. But now, Yin Jiazhuang had joined forces with several other sects to suppress Great Heaven Abode in the 3-altar banquet. The 3-altar banquet was very important to the sects in the northwest region. The sect that won the 3-altar banquet would be able to obtain a large amount of cultivation resources. For example, spiritual stone veins, blessed grottos, and many other precious treasures. The Great Heaven Abode had always been the champion and controlled many cultivation resources. That was why they were able to sit firmly on the throne of the northwest region. However, the 3-altar banquet this time was different from the past. This time, outsiders would represent the various sects in the competition. Moreover, there would be disciples from 18 clans participating as well. As such, it was uncertain whether Great Heaven Abode would be able to win the competition this time. Now that the sects in the northwest region had joined forces with Yin Jiazhuang, if Great Heaven Abode failed to win the competition and lost many cultivation resources, they would no longer be able to stay in the northwest region in the future. In fact, they might even be wiped out. Liu Yang, the 3-altar banquet this time is different from the past. Is Great Heaven Abode still thinking of winning the competition? Yin Chai sneered. This time, if Great Heaven Abode fails to win the competition, you will have to hand over all the cultivation resources that you previously controlled. So what? Liu Yang said softly. Great Heaven Abode has a strong foundation. It doesn't matter if we lose all our cultivation resources. I hope so, Yin Chai said coldly. The 3-altar banquet will be your burial ground. At this moment, Glittering Martial Tower was glaring at Jiang Chen with undisguised killing intent. Beside him, the 2 saints from the upper and lower Qianquan sects did not say anything. They looked calm as if this matter had nothing to do with them. As for the other 2 sky prides, they did not say anything either. They just stood there quietly. Glittering Martial Tower's son, I will teach you a lesson during the 3-altar banquet. Bird Dade stroked his long hair and said, I will let you know that the vermilion bird's flames can burn everything. Humph! I will drown you with my dragon phlegm. Long Dade did not want to fall behind either. He spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm, which flew to Glittering Martial Tower's feet. You relied on your father to become the holy son of the Martial Pavilion, Nian Changde said contemptuously. If you meet me at the 3-altar banquet, I'll suppress you with 1 palm. Stop arguing. What's the point of fighting and killing all day long? Why don't you admire my peerless beauty? Mu Yude stroked his bangs and said, As a cultivator you should be like me, pure of heart and few desires. After saying that, Mu Yude raised his eyebrows and glanced at Lin Lang Wu Ta. he said disdainfully. You're not that strong, and you're not as handsome as me. You still have the face to dance here? You guys! Lilang Wutuo was enraged. Being ridiculed by several people at the same time, his heart was burning with anger, and his face was flushed red. Even the two saints of the upper and lower Qiankun realms were looking at the glittering martial tower suspiciously. They were also thinking that the glittering martial tower couldn't be that weak, right? If he was really weak, wouldn't he be a burden? You guys are really good at shooting your mouths off. Jiang Chen's face darkened. He felt that the people around him had been led astray ever since he had three great virtues by his side. Lin Qin, young master of the Lin family. Greetings, everyone. At this moment, a youth walked over from afar. He was alone, and there was no expert protecting him. However, there was no fear in his eyes or on his face. That was because he was from the Lin family of the 18 families. In the sky-flowing domain, no one dared to attack someone from the 18 families. Did the Lin family send you alone? Yin Chai asked. We're just here to join in the fun. One person is enough. Lin Qin smiled. However, when he looked at Jiang Chen and the others, the contempt in his eyes was very strong. Wang Kun of the Wang family. Greetings, everyone. After a few breaths, another youth walked over. He was also a disciple of the 18 families. He seemed to be very familiar with Lin Qin. After the two of them walked together, they walked forward. Then, Lu Yang and the others did not say much and walked towards the central square of the ancient city. Along the way, Jiang Chen saw many familiar faces. He even saw a youth shrouded in darkness. This is the Dark Holy Sun, Nian Changa reminded. Be careful. This person is very shrewd and his methods are very sinister and despicable. Jiang Haoren, Lu Songang, and Chen Lu Dao became demons because of him. Jiang Chen whispered. If those three demons were here, they would probably settle the score with the Dark Holy Sun. There are a total of 5 sects that came to participate in the 3-altar banquet. The Great Heaven Palace, the Yin family, the Blood Hand sect, the Qin family, and the Spiritual Snake clan. After arriving at the central square, Lu Yang introduced the sects that came to participate in the competition. Of course, the people from the 18 families were not included. Moreover, the 18 families only sent Lin Qin and Wang Kun this time. The other families did not send anyone. Jiang Chen was puzzled. Could it be that these two people were strong enough to kill all of them, who had come from the outside world? One had to know that the outsiders who dared to participate in the 3-altar banquet were all peerless geniuses. Among them were the 2 holy sons of upper and lower universe, and the holy son of highest heaven. Just these 3 people alone were not people that ordinary people could deal with. The first round is a free-for-all. Every sect will send 5 people. Since only 2 of the 18 families came, the first round of the free-for-all will be empty. Lu Yang explained. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge arena rose in the central square. Then, the participants from the various sects went up the arena and prepared to start the free-for-all. Jiang Chen and his companions stood together. They all looked serious. They glanced around. Their holy awareness even covered the whole arena. Be careful, don't be sneak attacked, Nian Changa reminded. Speaking of which, we won't lose this mixed fight, will we? Jiang Chen had an odd look on his face. He glanced at the contestants in the ring and felt confident. Nian Changa was stunned when she heard that. But when she saw the participants sent by the other sects, she was instantly dumbfounded. Wakako? Xiao Qingyi? And Tianxue, Jiang Lu, and Wu Tong. Those 3 disguised themselves? I think it's Jiang Haoren, Lu Songang, Chen Lu Dao. One had to know that the 5 sects sent a total of 25 people. Almost half of them were Jiang Chen's people. Then, what did Jiang Chen have to worry about in this free-for-all? Boss! Boss! At this moment, Jiang Lu and the rest were standing in the distance, greeting Jiang Chen. Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard the words, boss, being shouted out. What's going on? Why is a prodigy invited by the Spiritual Snake clan calling someone else boss? The leader of the Spiritual Snake clan was dumbfounded. How the hell were they going to fight this? The people of the Qin clan were also dumbfounded. They saw Wakako waving at Jiangchen and Xiao Qingyi nodding at Jiangchen. Cough, cough. Keep a low profile. Keep a low profile. Jiangchen coughed a few times, thinking that the 3 jars of feast were nothing. Wasn't this quite simple? Chapter 534. At this moment, the whole place was silent. The people from the Yin village were even more dumbfounded. No one had expected the 3 jars banquet to turn out like this. Are we still going to fight? How are we going to fight? After a while, the leaders of the Spirit Snake clan, the Yin village, and the Qin clan spoke one after another. They all agreed that they would not be able to win this battle. Except for a few people, the others were all Jiang Chen's brothers and underlings. How were they going to win this battle? This person is extraordinary. Lu Yang stared at Jiang Chen. He did not expect Jiang Chen to be so capable. His cultivation was low, but the brothers around him were all exceedingly strong. Especially their strength and aura, they were peerless geniuses. At this moment, Lu Yang began to take Jiang Chen seriously. Mansion Master Lu Yang, I'm afraid we have to change the rules of the 3 jars banquet, Yin Chai said. Yin Chai said. He looked at the leaders of the other sects and forces and said, What do you all think? The rules have to be changed. Otherwise, the 3 jars banquet cannot continue. The leader of the Spirit Snake clan said, It's like a joke. The first battle is unnecessary. Let's go straight to the second battle. The leader of the Qin clan said. The Yin village, the Spirit Snake clan, and the other factions did not have any objections. However, Lu Yang had objections. In the first battle, the Great Heaven Abode had an obvious advantage. It could even be said that they would win. Now, if the first battle was eliminated, the Great Heaven Abode would lose their biggest advantage. Everyone, you chose the participants yourselves, Lu Yang said. Now that something like this has happened, who can you blame? But this person has so many underlings. If we fight in the first battle, how are we going to win? The leader of the Qin clan said. The first battle must not be carried out. How are we going to calculate the losses of the Great Heaven Abode? Lu Yang said. The winner of the first battle of the 3 jars banquet could control a spiritual mind for 300 years. What did a spirit mind mean? It meant that there was an endless supply of spirit stones. Spirit stones were not only the currency of this world, but they were also treasures that could be used for cultivation. Now, if they didn't fight the first battle, wouldn't the Great Heaven Abode lose control of a spiritual mind for 300 years? If a fight breaks out, many of the sky prides we've found might die. The Qin clan's patriarch thought to himself. At worst, we can just give up on the first battle royale and concede defeat to preserve our strength. What's wrong with giving the Great Heaven Sanctum the right to control the spiritual mind for 300 years? Don't fight. I'd rather give up the spirit mind than lose too many participants. The Spirit Serpent clan's chief had the same thought. As for Yin Chai, his thoughts were more or less the same. After all, apart from the spirit ores, there were many other things that could be fought for. For example, medicinal gardens, heavenly treasures, and so on. Lu Yang, let's call off the first battle royale. Even if the Great Heaven Sanctum wins, the rights to control the mind for the next 300 years will be yours. In the end, the leaders of the major sects came to this conclusion after a discussion. Lu Yang had no objections to this. Then, it was time for the individual battles. Every single individual battle was a battle of life and death. Every time a participant won a battle, their sect would get 1 point. In the end, the sect with the highest score would have priority in choosing cultivation resources. I say, why don't we just give up? Let's just concede defeat. It's useless for us to participate. We're all on the same side. Don't tell me we're going to fight our own people? At this moment, before the individual battles began, Wakako and the others had already chosen to withdraw from the competition. This made the sects they belonged to feel helpless. However, they could not force them. It should be noted that the 18 clans were now upholding justice for the outsiders. Now that the disciples of the 18 clans were here, the sects did not dare to do anything to Wakako and the others. After all, they still had to give face to the 18 clans. After a dozen breaths of time, all those who were related to Jiangchen had chosen to withdraw from the three-altar banquet. In this way, the Bloody Hands sect had directly forfeited. The Spirit Serpent clan only had one participant left. The Chen clan had 2 participants left, and the Yin village had 5 participants left. It seemed like the three-altar banquet was the battle between the Yin village and the Great Heaven's abode. I'm the only participant left. What's the point of fighting? The last participant from the Spirit Serpent clan also chose to withdraw from the competition. The Qin clan also withdrew from the competition. There was only one participant left. This person's face was covered with a veil. His aura was ethereal, as if he had returned to the primordial chaos. He was very mysterious and unpredictable. Everyone, there's still the 2 of us. At this moment, Lin Qin and Wang Kun spoke. They first bowed to the leaders of the various sections. Then, Wang Kun's expression turned serious as he said, "The 18 clans only have one goal in this three-altar banquet. We want to seize control of Mount Duan." "What? Mount Duan? Broken Sky Mountain contains countless cultivation resources. There's also a spirit mine and 3 herb gardens buried within it. Aren't the 18 clans a little too greedy? They only sent 2 people here. So what if they have a big appetite? The prerequisite is that they can win." Lu Yang and the rest had ugly expressions. They did not expect the 18 clans to have such a clear goal. Their appetite was even bigger. One had to know that the three-altar banquet was a competition for cultivation resources. In the end, they were all fighting for Mount Duan. There's no need to say anything else. Let's begin, the leader of the Spirit Serpent clan said impatiently. After all, the Spirit Serpent clan had given up. They would not get any cultivation resources from the three-altar banquet. The leader of the Bloody Hand clan looked even more gloomy. Killing intent surged from his body, as if he was really angry. "Then let's begin." Yin Chai raised his eyebrows. With a wave of his hand, 13 clouds appeared in the air. Now, there were only 13 participants left in the individual battle. Therefore, there were only 13 clouds. Behind the clouds were numbers. Those who drew 1 would fight with those who drew 13, those who drew 2 would fight with those who drew 12, and so on. If one drew 7, they would get a bye and would get 1 point. "Begin drawing lots," Yin Chai said. As soon as he said that, Jiang Chen's eyes flashed with the brilliance of the sun and moon. He had already seen the numbers behind the clouds. "The 6th cloud!" Without waiting for the others to speak, Jiang Chen took the lead. As soon as he said that, the 6th cloud dissipated. A huge 7 appeared in front of everyone. Bye. Is this pure luck? Why do I see yin and yang energy floating in his eyes? Did he see through the clouds? Chapter 535. Everyone was dumbfounded. Of course, there were some who saw through the clues. But so what? Drawing lots was a matter of luck, but also depended on one's ability. If Jiangchen had the ability to see through the concealment of the clouds, why didn't he draw number 7? Humph! You're just a great sage. You'll get a bye this time. Let's see how you'll survive next time. The glittering jewel Marshal Tower said coldly, his eyes full of contempt. The saint below Qiankun shook his head and glanced at the glittering Marshal Tower. He didn't seem to think highly of it. The holy prince of the continent of the 9 clouds frowned and said, "You talk too much. I'm afraid you won't survive the first round." 10 breaths later, when everyone had finished drawing their lots, Nian Chunga directly opened her mouth and stared at Linlang Wutuo, who was holding lot number 1. She said disdainfully, "What ability does a person who relied on his father have? Nian Chunga, who do you think you are?" Linlang Wutuo raised his eyebrows. "I am the holy son of the Martial Pavilion. And my Martial Pavilion is the strongest faction on the godless continent." "The strongest force?" Nian Chunga said mockingly. Let's not talk about the sect I'm in first. Why don't you ask the people around you, which sect they're in is weaker than the Martial Pavilion? The Upper and Lower Qianquan sect and the Nine Clouds sect. Can the Martial Pavilion compete with them? Birddade said. I haven't been in the godless continent for long, but I've heard of these three sections. In front of these three sects, what is the Martial Pavilion? He's just an ant, another person said. It was obvious that he wasn't very friendly towards the Martial Pavilion either. Lin Lang Wutuo's face darkened when he heard this. The veins on his forehead bulged as he roared. What do you know? When my father comes out of the Forbidden Grounds, he will definitely sweep through the world. At that time, the godless continent will be completely ruled by my Martial Pavilion. Oh? Forbidden area? Jiangchen whispered. Which forbidden area? The Third Mountain, Glittering Martial Tower said. I'm sure you all know what's in the Third Mountain, right? If my father comes out of the Third Mountain, who in this world can match up to him? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was moved. This was because the Third Mountain was the #1 forbidden land of the godless continent. It was rumored that there was some kind of inheritance hidden within that could allow one to transcend the restrictions. As for what kind of inheritance it was and what kind of restrictions it had transcended, no one knew. Everyone knew that no one who entered the Third Mountain ever came out alive. However, Jiang Qin and the others had to take Glittering Martial Tower seriously when they heard how confident he was. If Glittering Jewel Wentian had truly survived the Third Mountain, then his strength would definitely skyrocket. At that time, the Martial Pavilion would really unify the godless continent. However, it was not so easy to come out of the Third Mountain alive. You talk about Lin Lang Wentian every time you open your mouth. What else do you have besides your father, whose life and death are unknown? Nian Chang'e said contemptuously. Then she took a step forward and stood on the arena. She said, Get up here. Accept your death. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Lin Lang Wutuo leaped into the air and landed on the stage like a rock. At this moment, everyone held their breaths as they stared at the two people in the ring. After all, this was the first battle of the 3 Altar Feast. And the two people fighting were both very strong. One was the holy son of the Martial Pavilion, and the other was the only disciple of the Heavenly Temple. Anyone related to Jiangchen must be dealt with. Glittering Martial Tower looked proud and confident. The legend of the Martial Pavilion will begin with me, Glittering Martial Tower. You really talk a lot. The holy son of 9 Cloud Heavens curled his lips, wondering why he had such a teammate. Before the battle started, he was already talking non-stop. Did he not know that this was a battle of life and death? If he lost, the price he had to pay was his life. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Nian Chang'e narrowed his eyes. His body shook, and 36 lotuses appeared in the air. In the next moment, the air vibrated and distorted. The 36 lotuses bloomed, and thousands of rays of light scattered down. Before anyone could react, Nian Chang'e stepped into the air. His speed was as fast as lightning. When he appeared again, his palm was already on the top of the Glittering Martial Tower's head. Runes circled around his body like a divine rain of light. In his palm, there was a cold light floating up and down. What? This? What a fast movement technique! Everyone exclaimed. Glittering Martial Tower's face was even paler. He roared and raised his hand, wanting to shake off Nian Chang'e's palm. However, his hand was only raised halfway, and his head was crushed by Nian Chang'e. Even his soul was shattered on the spot. The holy son of the Martial Pavilion died instantly. I said, you're just someone who relied on your father to get to where you are. Nian Chang'e said softly, waving the blood on his hand, and said contemptuously, Killing someone like you is simply dirtying my hands. One move. 36 lotuses. This person. Nian Chang'e? A disciple of the Heavenly Temple? At this moment, the surrounding exclamations shook the sky. No one expected Nian Chang'e to kill the holy son of the Martial Pavilion, Glittering Martial Tower with just one move. Even Jiangchen was dumbfounded. He secretly thought that the Chang and clan's patriarch was indeed extraordinary. With such combat power, he was probably invincible in his generation. Cough, cough. Compared to me, he's still a little weak. Jiangchen felt guilty. He felt that if he fought with Nian Chang'e at the same level, his chances of winning would only be 50-50. First round, Heavenly Abode gets 1 point. At this moment, Yin Chai's expression was ugly. He thought that glittering martial tower's combat power was superior, and could win a point for the Yin village. He did not expect to lose it with just 1 move. Damn it, people who talk too much die the quickest. Where did you find such a teammate? The Holy Sun glanced at Yin Chai and said, Don't you feel embarrassed for the Yin village? Cough, cough. Don't I still have you guys? Yin Chai was also very embarrassed. Then, it's my turn next. At this moment, Lin Qin walked up to the arena and looked at the only contestant from the Chen clan. He chuckled and said, Fellow cultivator, why don't you forfeit? This is a battle of life and death. You saw what happened to Glittering Martial Tower, right? People who talk too much usually die the fastest. The young man who represented the Chen clan said coldly. His body was like nothingness, returning to chaos, giving off an illusory feeling. He walked up to the arena step by step, then waved at Lin Qin and said, Come. After saying that, the young man suddenly paused and asked, If you die in my hands, will the 18 clans attack me? Don't worry, this is a battle of life and death. Even if you die in battle, no one will come to seek revenge. Lin Qin smiled and said, Moreover, the 18 clans are the guardians of the bloody path. If it weren't for this battle of life and death, why would we attack cultivators like you? That's for the best, the young man said softly. However, when these words fell into the ears of Jiangchen and the others, they were extremely harsh. What guardians? They were clearly a group of sinners imprisoned in the bloody path. Chapter 536. Lin Qin was very strong. He had been cultivating in the blood path since he was young. The result of cultivating under such an incomplete great Tao was that his combat strength far exceeded ordinary people. It was especially the case for outsiders like Jiangchen, because the fighting prowess of the natives here was much higher than theirs. However, the youth who represented the Chen clan was very calm. His gaze did not even stop on Lin Qin for a second. It was as if Lin Qin did not exist in his eyes at all. Or rather, he had never taken Lin Qin seriously. Could he be? Nian Chang'e stared at the youth and said, Could he be from Chaos Origin Sect? Chaos Origin Sect? Jiangchen was listening carefully. His expression changed. He said, Didn't that school disappear a long time ago? Chaos Origin Sect was a top sect in the primordial era. Chaos Origin Sect was once extremely prosperous, but it did not unify the godless continent. Instead, it disappeared overnight. The way it disappeared was rather similar to the Dongxing dynasty. Someone said that Chaos Origin Sect was destroyed by a mysterious faction. But more people believe that Chaos Origin Sect might have gone to another place. But no matter what, Chaos Origin Sect's foundation and even its disciples were extremely powerful. There was once a saying that below Chaos Origin, above all things. This was to describe the might of Chaos Origin Sect. Previously, when Nian Chang'e saw this youth, she did not think much. But it was not until she saw the wisp of chaos on his body and that ethereal aura that Nian Chang'e thought of Chaos Origin Sect. However, she could not be sure whether this youth was a disciple of Chaos Origin Sect. It was just a guess. I thought about it. Although it's a life and death battle, I still can't kill you. Right at this moment, the youth said, After all, you're from the 18 families. If I really kill you, the 18 families probably won't let me off. Fellow Taoist, you're worrying too much. My 18 families are the guardians of the blood path. Even if I die in your hands, no one will come to seek revenge, Lin Qin said with a smile. He was very calm and confident. Whether I'm a guardian or not, everyone knows in their hearts, the youth said. The moment these words were said, the expressions of everyone present changed again and again. That was because the natives of the heaven-flowing world basically knew what the 18 families were. But no one would say it out loud. Even Jiangchen and the others would never speak of this matter in front of the 18 families. But this young man had spoken of this matter in front of everyone. Although he didn't say it directly, the people present weren't fools. How could they not understand the meaning behind his words? At this moment, Lin Qin's face suddenly darkened. He stared at the young man and said coldly, "Don't you know that trouble comes from the mouth? It's just a fact." That young man spoke in a light voice as he stepped out, walking towards Lin Qin. At this moment, the wind suddenly blew. Rain dripped from the sky like icicles. Lightning filled the entire sky, as if 10,000 snakes were dancing in the air. As the youth took a step forward, the world seemed to return to chaos. But Lin Qin stood where he was, not moving at all. His expression, and even his movements were all the same as they were a second ago. Lin Qin is indeed a descendant of the 18 clans. Even in the face of such a situation, he can still remain so calm and composed. A young genius! Many people around them exclaimed in admiration. They secretly thought that Lin Qin's strength was enough to contend with the older generation. However, only Lin Qin understood that it wasn't that he didn't want to move, but that he couldn't. An inexplicable aura appeared on his body. It was like a wisp of chaotic qi. It was like thousands of mountains, pressing down on him until he couldn't breathe. There was also a terrifying spirit qi that entered his soul, imprisoning all the power in his body. At this moment, Lin Qin finally understood how terrifying this unknown youth before him was. In front of this young man, Lin Qin didn't even have the strength to resist. He really wanted to admit defeat. After all, given his status, if he admitted defeat, he could walk out of the arena alive. But he didn't even have the strength to speak. And this young man had previously said that he didn't want to kill Lin Qin because he was afraid that the 18 clans would seek revenge. But now, Lin Qin finally realized that this young man was determined to kill him. Han Yuan Heaven E. At that moment, the young man walked in front of Lin Qin. As he spoke softly, he slowly extended a finger, and it landed in front of Lin Qin. Buzz! In the next moment, everyone saw the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning suddenly stop. Then, Lin Qin's figure disappeared. It was as if Lin Qin had never appeared. "What's going on? Where is he?" Exclamations sounded one after another. Wang Kun's eyes narrowed and he said coldly, "What did you do to Lin Qin?" "Nothing," the young man said softly. "I made him fuse with the great Tao." "What do you mean?" Wang Kun asked. "He's dead." The young man smiled. It was a rare smile. Then, he walked down the arena and looked at the Qin clan leader asking, "This won't bring trouble to the Qin clan, right?" No. The Qin clan leader was also a little confused. He never thought that the young man he invited would be able to kill Lin Qin with one move. Lin Qin was Lin Suori's great-grandson and the most beloved descendant of Lin Suori. Now that Lin Qin was dead, it wouldn't be long before Lin Suori personally came here. At that time, the Qin clan could push all the blame to the young man. However, what would the young man do then? "I know what you're worried about. It's okay," the young man said softly. "When I reach the end of the blood path, there will be no more 18 families." "What?" the Qin clan leader exclaimed. However, he quickly reacted and shut his mouth. Then, he secretly transmitted his voice. "What are you doing?" "Just as I said." The young man did not transmit his voice. Instead, he said softly, "The 18 families are sinners. Death is their final destination. I didn't enter the blood path to fight for anything. I'm only here to settle some things and settle some people. If I didn't know that there would be 18 families participating in the 3-altar banquet, I wouldn't have the time to waste here." Hearing that, the Qin clan leader's heart tightened. He realized that the outsider he had invited was going to bring great trouble to the Qin clan. "Don't participate in the next battle. The Qin clan forfeits," the Qin clan leader said. He was afraid that the young man would encounter Wang Kun in the next battle. If they encountered each other and Wang Kun was killed, the Qin clan would not be able to bear the responsibility. The Qin clan would rather not have cultivation resources than to get into such big trouble. The Qin clan and I are one! However, at that moment, the young man suddenly shouted and made his stance clear. When he said that, the Qin clan leader almost cursed out loud. What the F***ck? You're one with the Qin clan. Are you trying to drag the Qin clan into this? Look, everyone saw and heard it. The Qin clan can't get out of this. The young man smiled and whispered to the Qin clan leader mysteriously. My name is Yuan Tiancheng. I'm from the immemorial sect. Chapter 537. Mixed Yuan sect? The Qin clan leader was shocked, but he did not shout. His eyes flashed, as if he had an idea. At that moment, the battle began again. This time, it was the lower saint against Wang Kun. The Qiankun sect was divided into two sections. Although the lower Qiankun was lower than the upper Qiankun, as a saint, the lower Qiankun saint's battle prowess was without a doubt. However, the battle had only just begun before it ended. Wang Kun only used one move to kill the Holy Son of Heaven and Earth. Although the three-altar feast was a life-and-death battle, the upper saint was naturally enraged when the lower saint was killed. However, he did not say much. Instead, he looked at Wang Kun a few more times and closed his eyes, as if he did not want others to see his inner thoughts. If the lower saint can't do it, the upper saint can't do it either, right? Wang Kun raised his eyebrows. He was much more arrogant than Lin Qin. The two of you, just admit defeat later. Don't go on stage. At that moment, Jiang Chen said to Long Dade and Bird Dade. His expression was very serious, and he did not allow them to refuse. Why? I'm the dragon ancestor, can I deal with these people? Long Dade was very unhappy, thinking that Jiang Chen was underestimating him. Bird Dade's face was also filled with displeasure as he said, Although I call you boss, I'm still not convinced by what you said. There's still the upper saint and 9 Cloud Saint left. I'm not familiar with the other two. Jiang Chen explained. If you meet those two saints, you'll definitely lose. What? Boss! How much do you not believe us? Long Dade glanced at Jiang Chen and said, In terms of strength, you're the weakest among us, heir. Jiang Chen's face was slightly red. He coughed a few times and said, Those two have already stepped into the sky realm. Others could not see the cultivation of the upper saint and 9 Cloud Saint, but Jiang Chen had cultivated the yin-yang eye, sun-moon eye, and had already seen through their backgrounds. These two had hidden themselves very well. Although Long Dade and Yao Dade were very strong and their battle prowess was unparalleled, the difference in their cultivation was too great. One had to know that once one stepped into the celestial realm, it was equivalent to a kind of sublimation. Even a top-notch upper-level deity realm expert would find it difficult to fight against the celestial realm cultivator. Celestial realm! Holy shit! How long has it been since the bloody path opened, and someone has already broken through to the celestial realm? Meow Dade and Long Dade exclaimed softly. They shrunk their necks and immediately agreed with Jiang Chen's suggestion. What kind of joke was this? Wasn't fighting a deity realm cultivator with a heaven realm cultivator courting death? Can I admit defeat? The young Taoist pointed at himself and said, My opponent seems to be the holy son of the continent of the 9 clouds. If we admit defeat, do you think Liu Yang will agree? Jiang Chen said snappily. Don't worry. You will be fine. Oh? How can you be so sure? Mu Yuda was stunned. He asked curiously, Why are you so confident in me? Because of your appearance. Jiang Chen went against his conscience. He patted Mu Yuda's shoulder and said, Your appearance is unparalleled in the world, just like your fighting strength. You are invincible. Ha! Mu Yuda laughed maniacally when he heard this. He touched his face and sighed. Sometimes, the combination of good looks and strength is invincible. This kind of trouble is not something you can understand. Shameless! Damn fatty, you're really good! Jiang Chun was speechless. A few words of praise and he became arrogant? As for Long Dade and Niao Dade, they looked at Mu Yu De with disdain. Very quickly, the next battle began. This battle was between Mu Yu De and the Holy Son of the Continent of the Nine Clouds. Admit defeat, the Holy Son of the Continent of the Nine Clouds said to Mu Yu De. I have already broken through to the celestial realm. I can't admit defeat. Besides, I'm a handsome man. I can't admit defeat, Mu Yu De said seriously. He didn't know why he was so confident about his appearance. Then I'm sorry, the Holy Son of the Continent of the Nine Clouds said. He released his chi. He was a celestial blight cultivator. But before the Holy Prince of the Continent of the Nine Clouds could do anything, Mu Yu De took out a snow-white coffin. He lay down inside and closed the coffin. What are you doing? You're here to fight, not to lie down like a corpse. The crowd was speechless. What kind of battle method was that? That's white jade immortal gold. Jiang Chun was surprised. He hadn't thought that Mu Yu De would have such a treasure. White jade immortal gold was one of the strongest immortal gold in the world. Even ordinary gods couldn't break it. The outcome of the battle was decided as soon as Mu Yu De entered the coffin made of immortal gold. It would be a draw. The result was just as Jiang Chun had expected. The Holy Son of the Continent of the Nine Clouds used all his strength but still couldn't break the coffin. In the end, he had no choice but to declare it a draw. Young man from the Continent of the Nine Clouds, you're destined to lose against my handsome face, Mu Yu De said proudly after he came down from the battle arena. He didn't forget to boast. The Holy Son of the Continent of the Nine Clouds was livid. He had never thought that he would meet such a weirdo, let alone that his opponent would have a coffin made of white jade immortal gold. Not bad. That's a good coffin, Jiang Chun praised. However, as soon as he said that, Nian Chang'e poked Jiang Chun's shoulder and said, There's only one coffin made of white jade immortal gold in the world, and then? Jiang Chun was stunned. He didn't know what Nian Chang'e meant. Cough, cough. Someone was buried in this coffin, Nian Chang'e said. And that person was your third reincarnation. What the F***ck? Jiang Chun was furious when he heard that. You bastard little Taoist. You stole my third reincarnation's body and my coffin? Cough, cough. It's mine now. Mu Yu De hurriedly put away the coffin and looked at Jiang Chun as if he was guarding against a thief. He said, It belongs to whoever gets it. It used to be yours, but it's mine now. I'll bury you sooner or later. Jiang Chun was furious. Long Dade and I admit defeat in the remaining 2 battles, Niao Dade and Long Dade said. They didn't want to throw away their lives. However, Lu Yang's eyes flashed with anger when he heard that. He said, Are you messing around? Don't worry. The Continent of the Nine Clouds will win, Jiang Chun said. So what if we lose? Lu Yang said in a low voice. Do you know what the 3 altar feast means to the Continent of the Nine Clouds? If we lose, you can have my life, Jiang Chun said bluntly. What do you think? Chapter 538. Before the 3 altar feast started, Jiang Chun was indeed worried that he would lose. However, when the competition started and he saw that most of the participants were his own people, Jiang Chun realized that he wouldn't lose the 3 jugs banquet this time. Although Jiang Chun's cultivation was not high, he was about to break through to the immortal state. Moreover, he had Mu Yu and Nian Chang'e on his side. Jiang Chun was not sure if Mu Yu was strong or not, but Nian Chang'e's strength was definitely extraordinary. But now, the saint of the universe was dead. Lin Qin was dead. Even glittering Martial Tower was dead. Jiang Chun didn't need to fear the remaining people at all. Moreover, the 3 altar feasts did not have to fight to the death. As long as one had the highest score, they would win. Now 18 families had won 1 point, and the Yin family village had won 1, lost 1, and tied 1. The great heavens abode also had 1 point. In this way, everyone was on equal footing. Since they were on equal footing, what did Jiang Chen have to worry about? As long as there were no accidents in the following battles, Nian Chang'e alone would be able to help the great heaven's abode win. Nian Chang'e was the patriarch of the Chang'an clan. If it were not for the accident when he broke the seal, he would be able to defeat everyone with his strength. You said it yourself, Lu Yang said. Although he felt that Jiang Chen was extraordinary, the three-altar feast was of great importance. He did not dare to be careless. The battles continue. After a while, the first round ended. The remaining participants were Jiang Chen, Nian Chang'e, Mu Yud, Wang Kuan, Yuan Tiancheng, the saint of Shang Qianquan, the saint of Nine Clouds, and the two remaining geniuses from the Yin family village. As for the Dark Saint, he was originally from the Bloody Hand faction. However, he was very careful and had already withdrawn from the competition. There are exactly 8 people. No one can skip, the saint of Shang Qianquan said in a low voice. He looked down and glanced at Wang Kuan. His intention was obvious. He wanted to avenge the saint of heaven and earth. Do you know how to count? There are 9 people, Mu Yud said. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present became strange. The holy cultivator of the continent of the 9 clouds glanced at Jiang Chen and said, Who included him? With this level of cultivation, he'll just be giving away points in the arena. Jiang Chen was stunned. He touched his old face and said, Then, can I take a bye again? Anyway, I'm just giving away points. So be it. Lu Yang was the first to speak. He then looked at Yin Chai and said, Brother Yin Chai, you don't have any objections, right? If it were someone else, Yin Chai would definitely have objections. But Jiang Chen, a contestant with a great sage cultivation, was given a bye. What other opinions could Yin Chai have? After all, as the holy son of the continent of the 9 clouds had said, he was just a free point participant. So what if he got a bye? This time around, everyone, choose your own opponents. How about it? Yin Chai said. After all, there are only a few people left. Let them do as they please. I'll fight you. As soon as he finished speaking, the holy cultivator of the upper universe stepped out and stood on the arena. He pointed his finger at Wang Kuan. Ha, are you here for revenge? Wang Kuan raised his eyebrows. A trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. He said, Holy son of the upper universe, I'd like to see what you're capable of. I'm afraid you won't be able to see it, the holy cultivator of the upper universe said coldly. The murderous intent in his eyes suddenly surged. Buzz! In the next moment, the holy cultivator of the upper universe suddenly pressed his hand into the void. There was a loud sound, and then the entire space on the arena began to distort. Upper universe suppression! With a long roar, the arena collapsed and the void distorted. Even Wang Kuan was sucked into the void. He didn't even have time to scream before he collapsed along with the void. So powerful! The upper universe saint's strength is probably not below yours. Jiang Chen looked at Nian Chang'e and said, If you meet him, are you confident? I should be able to win. Nian Chang'e nodded. This is what you get for killing my upper universe saint. The upper universe saint said coldly. I don't care who you are or which sect you belong to. Ha, interesting. Yuan Tiancheng chuckled. His eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking. At that moment, the happiest people to see Wang Kuan being killed were the Detian prefecture and the Yin village. Because only the 2 of them were left in the 3 jars banquet. As for the Chen clan, which only had 1 participant left, they didn't care at all. In this way, the pressure of competition was much lower. I'll pick one first. At that moment Mu Yud spoke. He pointed at the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven and said, I'll give you another chance? The holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven opened his mouth, but he was furious. To be honest, among so many people, he didn't want to fight Mu Yud the most. Because this guy's white jade divine gold coffin was unbreakable. However, in the second round, the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven had to pick his opponent. Mu Yud beat him to it. Therefore, Unless the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven admitted defeat, he had to fight. "Sooner or later, I'll break your white jade divine gold coffin," said the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven coldly. He walked onto the battle stage. However, what happened next was exactly the same as before. Muyudo walked onto the battle stage and, without saying anything, went into the white jade divine gold coffin. No matter how much the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven attacked, the white jade divine gold coffin didn't move at all. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven was tired. The spectators couldn't watch anymore, so the battle ended in a draw. "It's okay if it's a draw. The Yin village will get 2 points," said Inchai. He was thinking, where did the Detian prefecture find this weirdo? He was hiding in a coffin when fighting. "You're the only one left from the Qin clan. How about we get rid of you and the Qin clan can withdraw from the 3 Jars banquet?" At that moment, a young man from the Yin village said. After taking a step forward, he arrived on the stage. Yuan Tiancheng smiled after hearing this. He leapt into the air and landed on the ring. After that, the battle began. However, the battle ended as quickly as it started. Yuan Tiancheng's first attack was like a thunderstorm. After that, there was nothing after that. The young man who represented the Yin village didn't even have the strength to resist and was suppressed on the spot. "The descendant of the immemorial sect is really ruthless," muttered Nian Chang'e. "This little bastard is really troublesome." "You're here, aren't you?" said Jiang Chen with a smile. He looked relaxed. The last battle of the second round was between Nian Chang'e and the young genius of the Yin village. However, before Nian Chang'e could step onto the battle stage, the young genius admitted defeat. He could tell that Nian Chang'e was very strong. If he stepped onto the battle stage, he would definitely die. "You!" said Yin Chai angrily. However, he couldn't force someone to do that. "The Qin clan, the Yin village, and the Datian prefecture have been divided into 2 parts," said the Qin clan leader with a smile. How could the Qin clan leader not be happy that a single participant could get the same number of points as the other 2 sects? "Everyone, the 3 Jars banquet doesn't need to continue." Suddenly, an angry voice came from the distant sky. Chapter 539. At this moment, everyone cast their gazes into the distance, and fear appeared on their faces. This was because the newcomers were Lin Suori and an expert from the Wang clan. Obviously, Lin Suori and the Wang family had heard about the death of Lin Qin and Wang Kun. They were here to seek revenge. Lin Qin had said that even if he died in the 3 Jars feast, the 18 families would not seek revenge. However, after he died, the 18 families would not let it go. "Chen family! Yin family! How dare you!" After a few breaths, Lin Suori and the expert from the Wang family arrived and shouted angrily. Furthermore, as Lin Suori finished his sentence, he struck out his palm toward Yuan Tiancheng. At the same time, the expert from the Wang family also threw a palm at the Heaven and Earth Saint. "Both of you! This is the 3 Jars feast, life and death are up to fate," the Qin family leader said coldly. Although the 18 families were powerful in the Bloody Path, the Qin family was a native of the Bloody Path, and was no weaker than the 18 families. "Since he's participating on behalf of my Yin village, then my Yin village naturally has to take responsibility for him." Yin Chai frowned, and then he struck out with his palm and blocked the attack of the Wang clan expert. "This is different from the past," Lin Suori shouted angrily. "In the past, the 18 families never participated in the 3 Jars feast. However, since the 18 families are participating in this year's 3 Jars feast, the rules should be changed." "How? Moreover, you didn't say anything about changing the rules before the 3 Jars feast started." Lu Yang could not stand it anymore. He stared at Lin Suori and said, "You call yourselves the guardians of the Bloody Path, but is that really the case? How dare you!" Lin Suori was furious. Although everyone knew what was going on, they had to pretend since it was pointed out in front of them. After all, they had to cover up their embarrassment. Just a few celestial realm cultivators. What do you think? At this moment, Yuan Tianqing stepped out and slowly rose into the sky. When he was level with Lin Suori and the others, he spoke again. Do you think that the combat strength of the cultivators who cultivate in the celestial flowing boundary is stronger than that of the godless continent? Of course. Lin Suori raised his eyebrows. Junior, you will pay for my grandson's death today. Pay with my life? Doesn't that mean that I have to pay with my life for Wang Kun's? The holy son of upper heaven and earth also stood up and stood side by side with Yuan Tianqing. As his body shook, the aura of the celestial tear erupted. At the same time, Yuan Tianqing's aura also reached the celestial realm. However, both of them were at Heaven's Blight first Heaven's Blight. In terms of cultivation, they were naturally inferior to Lin Suori and the Wang family expert. But at that moment, the holy cultivators of the continent of the 9 clouds also rose up in the air. The 3 of them stood side by side, facing Lin Xuan Ri and his friend. 3 brats, merely Dave a first blight cultivation and also have delusions of fighting with us? Lin Suori spoke with disdain, and his icy cold gaze swept past Yin Chai, the Qin clan's patriarch, and Lu Yang as he said, All 3 of you shouldn't interfere in the matter today. Otherwise, don't blame the 18 families for being impolite to you. They're just a bunch of sinners. Lu Yang's temper was very fiery. This time, he was even more direct. After saying that, he also flew up and stood in front of Yuan Tianqing and the other 2. He said, This is an adult's matter. You kids should step back. Although I, Yin Chai, am not a good person, I still know what to do in the face of righteousness and justice. Yin Chai also stood up and stood beside Lu Yang. Then, the Qin clan's patriarch hesitated for a moment, and then stood up as well. At that moment, Lin Suori's expression turned ugly. The Wang family expert next to him frowned, and a hint of fear flashed in his eyes. In terms of sex, the Great Heaven Mansion, the Yin Village, and the Qin clan could compete with any of the 18 families. However, the major sects in the celestial flowing boundary had never joined forces, which led to the 18 families' tendency to control the celestial flowing boundary. But now, the 3 top forces had joined forces, which made Lin Suori feel pressured and threatened. So, from today onwards, the 3 sects and forces will be enemies with the 18 families? Lin Suori said coldly. 18 families? You're just the descendants of 18 sinners. Your ancestors betrayed the celestial flowing boundary, and their descendants are also born traitors. Lu Yang said angrily. We call you the 18 families because we don't want to fall out with you. Now, since you've said so, let's fight. Count the Bloody Hand sect in. The spiritual snake clan is not afraid of you. At that moment, the sect leader of the Bloody Hand sect and the clan leader of the spiritual snake clan stepped out. The leaders of the 5 sects in the northwest had gathered together to face Lin Suori and the Wang family expert. The atmosphere instantly became oppressive, like a volcano that would erupt at any time. What's going on? However, at that moment, everyone's expression changed drastically. Unknowingly, a calamity cloud had appeared in the sky. In this short period of time, 3 more tribulation clouds appeared in the sky. Leave now! Jiang Chen shouted at Jiang Lu and the others with a strange expression. Nian Chang'e already knew what was going on. Before Jiang Chen said anything, he had already run away. If I'm not wrong, this is our boss's heavenly tribulation, Jiang Lu said seriously. You're full of F*King nonsense. How can other people's heavenly tribulation be so powerful? Wakako said angrily. The group of people turned around and ran away. Even Yuan Tianqing and the others were dumbfounded. They counted the calamity clouds in the sky. There were at least 8 of them. That little B*****. Lin Suori was furious. His face darkened as he roared. That was because they were standing on the clouds and were closest to the calamity clouds. And the moment the tribulation clouds appeared, they were dragged into it. Who are you calling a little B*****? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows. The sun and the moon were shining in his eyes. His hair was dancing in the wind. He looked serious and said loudly, "I'm Tian Qin. You dare to trick us?" The Wang family expert said coldly. "Trick you?" Jiang Qin curled his lips. "I don't have the time to trick you. You just happen to be here." The expressions of Lin Suori and the Wang family's experts became more and more unsightly. They wished they could skin Jiang Qin alive. Lu Yang and the others also looked terrible. It was as if they had eaten dog poop. They were all regretting it. If they had stood up a little later, they would not have been implicated by the heavenly tribulation. Now it was great, 7 celestial realm powerhouses were all implicated in one go. "The 5 of you, can I discuss something with you?" Jiang Qin looked at Lu Yang and the other 4 and said, "From now on, the 5 sects in the northwest will agree with me, Jiang Qin. What do you think? If you agree, I'll let you escape from this heavenly tribulation," Jiang Qin said. Chapter 540. After saying that, Jiang Qin looked at Lin Suori and the elite from the Wang family and said mockingly, "Both of you can forget about it. Brat! Do you know how powerful the 18 families are in the bloody path? Aren't you afraid of revenge?" Lin Suori shouted angrily, but he was terrified. With so many tribulations stacked together, even a deity might not be able to survive it. The power of the tribulations was determined by one's cultivation. The heavenly tribulations of Lin Suori and the others were all at the heavenly human realm. "What am I afraid of?" Jiang Qin raised his eyebrows. "In the outside world, I am already an enemy of the world. Now, in this bloody path, what do I have to fear? Brat! Stop talking! Hurry up and think of a way to get us out of here." The Blood Hand sect leader's face was pale. He felt that the rolling lightning in the tribulation cloud above him was like a death sentence. "As long as you help us get out of here, the Spiritual Snake Clan will protect you in the bloody path." The Spirit Snake Clan's clan leader was extremely flustered. This was because a bolt of lightning had brushed past him, causing his blood and chi to churn. "Make a blood oath," Jiang Qin said. Lu Yang and the rest's cultivation was much higher than his. Moreover, these people were the leaders of the biggest sects in the northwest region. If they did not make a blood oath, Jiang Qin would not be able to do anything if they went back on their word. Okay. Hurry up!" At this moment, Lu Yang and the rest did not dare to hesitate and immediately made a blood oath. When Jiang Qin saw this, he formed a seal with his hands and used his blood essence as a guide to create clones that looked exactly like Lu Yang and the rest. Purloin swap? What kind of secret skill is this? When these clones appeared, Lu Yang and the rest felt that they had nothing to do with the tribulations. They had already escaped from the tribulations. "A small secret skill," Jiang Qin said with a smile. As a former supreme being, what kind of secret skill did he not know? Jiang Qin had already mastered the purloin swap skill a few hundred years ago. "Brat! If we die, you won't have an easy time. Let's die together." At this moment, Lin Suori and the powerhouses of the Wang family were furious. They ignored the heavenly tribulations and rushed towards Jiang Qin. However, before they could make a move, the tribulation clouds in the sky surged violently. Endless bolts of lightning rained down like a torrent of lightning, instantly drowning them all. Lu Yang and the rest had already fled 1,000 li away. Looking at the place where Jiang Qin was, their hearts trembled. There seemed to be no end to the lightning in the sky. There were also terrifying things like the red lotus hellfire and the firmament thunder. When these things were mixed together, even a true god would have to shed a layer of skin. "Will boss be alright?" Jianglu asked worriedly. "This is the first time I've seen boss transcend so many heavenly tribulations at once." "Don't worry, he will be fine," Wakako said. He had absolute confidence in Jiang Qin. Nian Changa didn't speak. She looked calm, but her fists were clenched. Her palms were full of cold sweat. Only he knew how terrifying Jiang Qin's heavenly tribulation was this time. Putting aside the accumulation of so many heavenly tribulations, today was Jiang Qin's heavenly tribulation to step into the immortal state. The immortal state heavenly tribulation was extraordinary. Once one stepped into the immortal state, it was equivalent to becoming a demigod. This type of heavenly tribulation had the power of a god. Ordinary people couldn't transcend it. Ordinary people transcended the immortal state heavenly tribulation with a slim chance of survival. Even peerless geniuses couldn't guarantee that they could transcend the immortal state heavenly tribulation. However, Jiangqun didn't just have to transcend the immortal state heavenly tribulation this time. He also had to transcend the accumulated heavenly tribulations. Most importantly, Lin Suori and the experts of the Wang family were still in the midst of the heavenly tribulation. The two of them were definitely going to die. Before they died, they wouldn't let Jiangqun off. This kid is extraordinary. The Qin clan leader looked into the distance and shook his head. He sighed and said, "It's a pity that he can't transcend so many heavenly tribulations. I'm afraid he's already turned into ashes." The clan leader of the spiritual snake clan said regretfully, "If he can transcend the heavenly tribulation, the spiritual snake clan is willing to protect him. We'll help him reach the end of the bloody path and bring the experts of our clan out of this place. If he transcends the heavenly tribulation, the great heaven sanctum will naturally protect him." Lu Yang raised his eyebrows and said, "After all, he was invited by the great heaven sanctum." Apparently, these tycoons valued Jiangqun a lot at the moment. They wanted to protect Jiangqun so that Jiangqun could reach the end of the bloody path as soon as possible and help them leave the bloody path. However, the prerequisite was that Jiangqun had to transcend the heavenly tribulation. "Jiangqun, you brat! I'll destroy you!" At that moment, the expert of the Wang family shouted angrily in the midst of the thunderstorm. Immediately after, Lin Suori also shouted angrily. A few rays of light shot up into the sky as if they were going to obliterate the layers of tribulation clouds. "Why don't I hear Jiangqun's voice? Could it be?" After a dozen breaths, everyone could only hear the angry roars of Lin Suori and the experts of the Wang family. However, they could not hear Jiangqun's voice. This caused everyone's hearts to tighten. "No way! Our boss won't die! He's invincible!" Jiang Lu and the others shouted angrily. Although they had confidence in Jiangqun, no one could be sure that Jiangqun was still alive. Buzz! Suddenly, a bloody rain fell from the sky. It shone with divine light, and cries could be heard. This was heaven's wail. It meant that an expert at the fifth decay of a heavenly being had fallen. Heaven's wail continued, and the bloody rain fell. After half an hour, Lu Yang and the others could no longer sense the auras of Lin Suori and the experts of the Wang family. Obviously, the two of them had died in the heavenly tribulation. This brat is so deceitful. He killed two heavenly being experts at the same time. The Blood Hand sect master muttered. He was glad that he had no enmity with Jiangqun. Otherwise, he would have died in the heavenly tribulation this time. Time continued to pass. The heavenly tribulation clouds were still there. Lightning accompanied by raging flames, and a void storm filled the air. The place where Jiangqun was seemed to have turned into chaos. No one could see what was happening inside. However, the heavenly tribulation did not disappear. Jiang Lu and the others were relieved. This was because if Jiangqun died, the heavenly tribulation would also disappear. Now that the heavenly tribulation was still there, it meant that Jiangqun was not dead. "How long will this take?" Wu Tong asked. "With so many heavenly tribulations accumulated together, it will take at least half a day to complete it," Nian Changa said in a low voice. 36 lotuses bloomed behind him. A wisp of obscure aura filled the air and rushed under the heavenly tribulation clouds. At this moment, Nian Changa could sense Jiangqun's situation. His life force was very weak. He was like a lonely boat in a storm, about to be destroyed at any time. "No. If this goes on, he will definitely die," Nian Changa said in a low voice. He understood that Jiangqun was now using the art of nirvana to pass the heavenly tribulation. The art of nirvana was said to be unbreakable. However, under such a violent heavenly tribulation, Jiangqun was also struck to death. Even the fluctuations of his soul were much weaker. Forget it, forget it. After a dozen breaths, Nian Chang'e felt that Jiang Chen's life force was extremely weak. He was on the verge of death. At this moment, Nian Chang'e sighed. He waved his hand and plucked a lotus leaf from the 36 lotuses. He said, "Sacrificing one lotus in exchange for your safety." Chapter 541. 36 lotuses had 36 different kinds of power. This was the Tao soul bestowed by the heavens, and it was blessed by the heavens. At this moment, Nian Chang'e damaged one of his lotuses and threw it under the tribulation cloud, landing on Jiang Chen's body. This was the blessing of the heavens against the punishment of the wrath of the heavens. However, Jiang Chen's heavenly tribulation had accumulated too much. When the lotus fell, it had no effect at all. It only delayed Jiang Chen's death. Alas! Nian Chang'e saw this and sighed. He damaged another lotus, and it fell on Jiang Chen's body. This time, the life force in Jiang Chen's body began to recover. At the same time, the tribulation cloud in the sky also dimmed a little. However, if that was all, Jiang Chen would still die. Forget it, I damaged 2 lotuses. I don't care about the third one. Nian Chang'e whispered and damaged another lotus. However, the heavenly tribulation was still there, and the thunder was still violent. Jiang Chen's life force was still like a candle flame, about to be extinguished. After damaging 3 lotuses, Nian Chang'e's face turned pale and blood spurted out of his mouth. His cultivation fell to the upper level of the great sage. After all, the 36 lotuses were his Tao soul. The Tao soul was connected to the soul. Damaging one's Tao soul was equivalent to damaging one's own soul. Even one's cultivation and foundation would be damaged. However, in contrast, Nian Chang'e would rather damage himself than watch Jiang Chen wait for death. I sacrificed the 36 lotuses to the heavens to bring peace to the world and protect one person's safety. After a dozen breaths, Nian Chang'e saw that the heavenly tribulation had not disappeared. A trace of determination flashed in his eyes. He looked up to the sky and roared. The 36 lotuses collapsed in an instant, turning into lotus leaves and rushing into the tribulation cloud. At this moment, auspiciousness descended from the sky. Dragons and phoenixes appeared, and a blue sea appeared out of thin air. A green lotus rose from the sea. The 3 leaves of the green lotus swayed gently. There seemed to be the sound of the great Tao, and a breeze blew by. In an instant, more than half of the heavenly tribulation disappeared, and a part of the thunder dissipated. Then, in the middle of the blue sea, a bright moon rose. Its brilliance soared into the sky and dispersed the last part of the tribulation clouds. At this moment, the 36 lotuses completely disappeared, the heavenly tribulation dissipated, and the lightning turned into nothingness. As for Nian Chang'e's cultivation, it had once again fallen from the upper level of the great sage realm. Her life aura had weakened to the extreme. His face was pale, but there was a smile on his face. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Jiang Chen, who was sitting cross-legged in the split space. He said softly, "In this life, even if I have to give up everything, I will bring you back. Are you all right, Nian Chang'e?" At this moment, everyone exclaimed. They felt that Nian Chang'e's life force was constantly weakening, almost reaching the critical point. He was going to die. Huh! At the same time, Jiang Chen passed the heavenly tribulation and his cultivation broke through to the lower level of the divine realm. The moment he opened his eyes, he saw a pale Nian Chang'e. Jiang Chen rushed over and landed in front of Nian Chang'e. A complicated look flashed in his eyes, and he said, "Why do you have to do this? My life has been too long, and I have done many wrong things. Now I only want to do something that I think is right." Nian Chang'e's voice was very weak, and the vicissitudes of life appeared in his eyes. Once upon a time, his name was Chang'an. Once upon a time, whether the world was in chaos or not was up to him. Once upon a time, in his era, he became a god, but he did not go to the 9th heaven divine realm, just for that peace. Now, all of that had become a thing of the past. Whether it was right or wrong, it did not matter to Nien Changa anymore. He saw hope, saw that the person he had been waiting for was slowly returning. In this life, Nien Changa had no regrets. However, how could Jiang Chen watch Nien Changa die? Back then, I used my status as a divine king to extend Qin Kong Confucian scholar's life. Jiang Chen said softly. Now I will use my own Dao soul to extend your life. No need, I know my own injuries. Nien Changa shook his head and said, As long as you are alive, there is hope. Jiang Chen did not speak. He took out the Emperor's vine and crushed it. In the next moment, the Emperor's vine turned into a rain of light and entered Nien Changa's body. Strong soul power and majestic essence turned into divine light, shining on Nien Changa's body like a rain of light. His life aura stabilized, but his injuries did not heal. It's useless, Nien Changa said softly. The 36 lotuses have been destroyed, my foundation has collapsed, and my soul has dried up. This life has come to an end. I don't care. Jiang Chen spat out blood. After all, he also destroyed one of his Dao souls, and his soul was also injured. However, he ignored his injuries and suddenly stood up. He looked up at the sky and shouted, If I don't give him a chance to live, when I become an immortal, I will cut open your sky. Then, Jiang Chen formed a seal with his hands. He was about to use a forbidden technique to change his name with the sky and extend Nien Changa's life. Unfortunately, this was the path of blood. There were special rules and order here. The forbidden technique could not be used at all. At this moment, everyone fell into silence. The atmosphere was filled with sadness. Jiang Chen's eyes were red. He lowered his head, not wanting others to see the tears in his eyes. Nien Changa smiled and tugged at Jiang Chen's sleeve. She said, I've lived long enough. I'm satisfied. But… Jiang Chen's voice was choked. He didn't know what to say. At this moment, a very discordant voice sounded. Muyud said, Sometimes I really envy you. You have friends, brothers, and people who are willing to risk their lives for you. As for me, I was born alone. I bear the mission of reviving the thieving heaven sect alone. Sometimes I want to be like you. Someone knows when I am cold, someone cares when I am in pain, and someone comforts me when I am hurt. At this moment, Muyud was talking to himself as he walked to Nien Changa's side. Then, Muyud's expression changed. He said mockingly, Call me Grandpa and I will extend your life. In that instant, everyone present was dumbfounded and even more confused. Even Nien Changa was dumbfounded. Brother, can't you see the situation now? I am about to die. How can you still be in the mood to joke? Jiang Chen grabbed Muyud's neck and said coldly, Do you think I won't kill you? Hee. I was joking. Muyud shrunk his neck and smiled embarrassedly. Then, he said seriously, Do you know why my sect is called the Thieving Heaven Sect? Before anyone could speak, Muyud said proudly, Because if the people of the Thieving Heaven Sect dare to steal, they can even steal the sky. So what if I steal a life for him? But… Muyud frowned as if he was worried about something. But what? Tell me. Jiang Chen was anxious. Judging from the current situation, Muyud was the only one who could save Nien Changa. Chapter 542. The name of the heaven-stealing sect had always been terrible since ancient times. It could be said that they were like rats on the street, hated by everyone. However, very few people knew that the essence of the stealing heaven sect was to steal everything. Just like their name, they could even steal from the heavens. Now Muyud had a way to steal a life for Nien Changa. However, the price was too high. The thief will enter the cycle of reincarnation. The thief will go against the heavens and bear the pain of purgatory for thousands of years. He will lose thousands of years of luck and break the path to becoming a god. Muyud said. Put it simply, Jiang Chen said. That means after I steal a life for Nien Changa, I can't become a god. Muyud sighed. If I can't become a god, what's the use of my cultivation? What's the point of continuing to cultivate? When these words came out, everyone sighed. The ultimate goal of a cultivator was to become a god. If a cultivator had no hope of becoming a god, there was no need for him to cultivate anymore. If Mu Yude stole a life from Yen Chang'e, he would never become a god in the future. Save her first, Jiang Chen said. Some things can go against the heavens. Can it really defy the heavens? Mu Yude asked. Stealing a life from Yen Chang'e is already going against the heavens. If you become a god in the future, you will also be going against the heavens. Since there are things that go against the heavens, it won't just happen once or twice, Jiang Chen said. You're right. Mu Yude was stunned by Jiang Chen's words. However, Mu Yude and Jiang Chen had just met. They didn't have a deep relationship. Mu Yude didn't need to cut off his own path to becoming a god. I know a way to go to the ninth heaven without going through the divine tribulation, Yen Chang'e said. Once you enter the ninth heaven, you can become a god. Really? What way? Where is it? Mu Yude asked hurriedly. The Eternal City, Yen Chang'e said. His voice was getting weaker. Yen Chang'e had lived for a long time. He knew a lot of things. He knew about Jiang Chen's past and the existence of the Eternal Fortress. However, under normal circumstances, Yen Chang'e would rather play dumb than reveal these things. Now, Yen Chang'e was also forced into a corner. Although he had lived long enough, who wouldn't want to continue living if they could? Eternal Fortress? You know how to get to the Eternal City? Mu Yude exclaimed. Obviously, he knew about the existence of the Eternal City. However, very few people in the world knew how to get to the Eternal Fortress. Jiang Chen was also stunned. How many things was Yen Chang'e hiding from him? However, the most important thing right now was to save lives. Mu Yude sighed. Then he performed a double-handed incantation gesture and unleashed a palm strike toward the heavens. The patriarch said that sometimes, when you encounter a situation, it is an opportunity, but it is also a tribulation. There is no way to avoid it, no way to avoid it. The only thing you can do is respond. Immediately after, a ball of light seemed to be caught by him, and the color of the sky changed instantly. Dark clouds pressed forward, lightning flashed, and an invisible bolt of lightning struck Mu Yude's body. Puff! Mu Yude spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body trembled. He clenched his teeth and pressed the ball of light into Yen Chang'e's body. Buzz! At this moment, Yen Chang'e's whole body trembled. A majestic essence exploded in his body like a flood. It flowed through his limbs and bones, passed through his 8 extraordinary meridians, and finally poured into his soul. After a dozen breaths, Yen Chang'e's injuries were healed, and even his cultivation was restored. I did steal your life for you, but your past spirit is gone. I can't help you recover it, Mu Yude said. Obscure patterns appeared on his face, like some kind of curse. He pointed at his face and smiled bitterly. My handsome face was destroyed just like that. What is this? Wakako asked curiously. The mark of the heavens, Mu Yude said. If this mark doesn't disappear, I can't become a god. From now on, I'll take you to the Eternal City. It leads to the divine world of the 9 heavens, Yen Chang'e said. Then he looked at Jiang Chen and asked angrily. My 36 lotuses are gone. How are you going to make it up to me? My Emperor's vine is gone too. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. Forget it. It's just a worldly possession. Yen Chang'e pursed his lips. He didn't seem to care. Jiang Chen also burst out laughing. A doctrine's soul was something he could do without. If he was strong enough, he could still be invincible without the help of a Taoist soul. What should we do next? After a few breaths, Jiang Chen looked at Lu Yang and the others and said, The 18 families won't let this go. I'm afraid they've blocked the path to the end of the bloody road. I'm afraid we can't get out. So what if there are 18 families? We'll join forces with the top sects in the celestial flowing boundary and wage war against them, Lu Yang said. They're just a bunch of traitors. I've wanted to destroy them for a long time, the leader of the spiritual snake clan said. Back then, if the ancestors of the 18 families hadn't betrayed the celestial flowing boundary, the celestial flowing boundary wouldn't have been destroyed. The leader of the Blood Hand sect said, "Now, it's time to settle the score." However, at this point, Nien Changa shook his head and said, "Most of the 18 traitors are already dead. But as far as I know, there are still 2 alive." When he said this, Lu Yang and the others' faces turned ugly. Those 18 traitors were all experts who had become deities. Now, with the passage of time and the passage of time, what level had the cultivation of the 2 people who were still alive reached? If they were still gods, they would be invincible in the celestial flowing boundary and even the godless continent. It's a pity that my cultivation isn't at its peak. Otherwise, I could suppress them with a raise of my hand. Nien Changa sighed. As the ancestor of the Chang'an clan, Nien Changa's peak cultivation was naturally a god. However, after he became a god, he didn't ascend to the 9 heavens divine world. Instead, he fought against the foreign lands in the godless continent, and even went to the eternal city to do some things. And in Nien Changa's era, there could be gods in the godless continent. Now that the times have changed, there can't be gods in the godless continent, or even the celestial flowing boundary. Nien Changa said. The 2 traitors who survived, although strong, can only be considered demigods. Demigods are stronger than us. The leader of the Qin clan frowned. The only way now is to first unite the top experts of the celestial flowing boundary and fight against the 18 families. Then, think of a way to save Yumyuba and the others. Nien Changa said. If they come out, they can fight against the 2 traitors and our chances of winning will be higher. Yumyuba is locked in the divine pit. Where are the other 2 sealed? Jiangchen asked. One in the southern underworld, the other in the northern abyss. Nien Changa said, glancing at the saint of the 9 heavens divine world. One of them is your ancestor. Chapter 543. The continent of the 9 clouds had been established a long time ago, and its ancestor had lived for countless years. Long ago, the ancestor of the continent of the 9 clouds and Nien Changa had been comrades. Both of them had become gods long ago, and were extremely strong. If it weren't for some reason, they wouldn't have ascended to the continent of the 9 clouds. Otherwise, their names and glorious deeds would have been recorded among the gods of the continent of the 9 clouds. Now, things had changed. The ancestor of the continent of the 9 clouds was like Nien Changa and the others. He was suppressed and sealed in the bloody path. Moreover, no one knew whether he was dead or alive. After all, he had been sealed for too long and couldn't get the essence of the outside world to nourish him. His lifespan was constantly shrinking. Perhaps the ancestor of the continent of the 9 clouds had died long ago, and only a skeleton was left. Our ancestor was sealed. The saint of the continent of the 9 clouds whispered. No wonder there's a rule in the sect that no one can ascend until the ancestor returns. Your ancestor may not return. Be prepared. Nien Changa sighed. Nien Changa sighed and said, being sealed for too long, ordinary people simply can't withstand the baptism of time. The other is the ancestor of the immemorial sect. At this moment, Yuan Tiancheng stared at Nien Changa and asked, Am I right? Yes. Nien Changa nodded. The remaining 2 were the ancestor of the immemorial sect and the ancestor of the immemorial sect. Both of them used to be very strong. At their peak, they weren't weaker than godly kings. But now, no one knew whether they were dead or alive. You know a lot. Yuan Tiancheng frowned and asked. Who are you? Me? I'm just a descendant of the heavenly temple. Nien Changa smiled. He didn't want to reveal his identity. But when Yuan Tiancheng heard that, the corners of his mouth curled up. That's right. It's you. Nien Changa was stunned. He glanced at Yuan Tiancheng and asked with a strange expression. What do you mean it's me? The founder of the heavenly temple is called the heavenly Taoist. He only has one disciple, Chang'an. He's the Chang'an clan's ancestor. Yuan Tiancheng explained. The heavenly temple has only one descendant. It's been like this since ancient times. Oh. You know quite a lot, Nyen Changa said softly, not caring that his identity had been exposed. This was all because his identity would be exposed sooner or later. Just like Jiangqin, who in this world did not know that he was the reincarnation of God King Tianchen. What? You are Chang'an! One of the guardians, Taoist Heavenspan's disciple, the patriarch of the Chang'an clan. Chang'an? At that moment, the people who were the most shocked were none other than Lu Yang and the others. One had to know that Nyen Changa and the others were suppressed and sealed because they were guarding the bloody path to the celestial flow world. Nyen Changa and the others were the guardians of the celestial flow world. They had never thought that one of the protectors of the celestial flowing realm would actually be standing in front of them alive. Lu Yang was even more embarrassed. He glanced at Nyen Changa and said, Chang'an primogenitor, I didn't know your identity before. Please forgive me for offending you. It doesn't matter. It's all in the past. Nyen Changa waved her hand and pointed at Jiangqin. She said, Compared to him, I'm nothing. We were only guarding the bloody path and watching over the sinners. He is the true guardian of the celestial flow world. The moment these words were spoken, the expressions of Lu Yang and the others instantly changed. They knew one thing: the true guardian of the celestial flow world was God King Tian Origin. Now, after hearing Nyen Changa's words, how could Lu Yang and the others not understand what she meant? But were God King Tian Origin and this young man really the same person? I can testify to that, Mu Yud said, looking a little embarrassed. His body is still in my hands. What? You stole God King Tian Origin's body? You thief! How dare you steal the body of our celestial flow world's guardian? At this moment, Lu Yang and the others were enraged. One had to know that the people of the celestial flow world regarded God King Tian Origin as their guardian. He was a totem-like existence. Even every year, people would go on a pilgrimage to pay respects to God King Tian Origin. But now, Mu Yud had stolen the body of God King Tian Origin that they had been paying respects to for countless years. Hurry up and get it back, Nyen Changa said angrily. The road ahead won't be easy. If he doesn't merge with his third life's body, his future path will be cut off. I'll go now. Mu Yud also realized the seriousness of the matter and hurriedly said. Then, he entered the void and went to retrieve Jiang Chen's third life's body. Buzz! Buzz! Not long after Mu Yud left, a series of rumbles suddenly resounded through the area. Then, the void in the distance exploded. More than 10 Heaven's Blight experts appeared in front of Jiangchen and the others. After a careful count, there were exactly 18 of them. Run! They're from 18 families. In the face of 18 Heaven's Blight experts, everyone present was terrified. After a few exclamations, the crowd couldn't care less about the people around them. They all escaped into the void and scattered in all directions. Jiangchen was also shocked. After exchanging a glance with Nyen Changa, they entered the void and scattered. You can't escape. We'll destroy the 5 major sects in the northwest first. Then we'll deal with you outsiders slowly. A few angry roars sounded. Then, the experts of the 18 families disappeared. Half a day later, Jiangchen hid in an ancient city and heard a piece of news. The great heaven's abode was destroyed. Other than Lu Yang and Lu Zhu who escaped, the rest were all dead. Another half a day later, another piece of news came. The Bloody Hand sect, the Spiritual Serpent clan, the Yin village, and the Qin clan were all wiped out. Only a few of their leaders managed to escape. On this day, the northwest of the flowing heaven boundary was shaken. This is outrageous. They're just a bunch of traitors. How dare they destroy the local forces of the flowing heaven boundary? If we don't fight with them, they think the flowing heaven boundary won't dare to fight with them? 3 days later, Jiangchen was still hiding in the ancient city, secretly observing. At the same time, in the other major regions of the flowing heaven boundary, many top sects announced that they would fight with the 18 families. In these few days, everyone in the flowing heaven realm knew that the 18 clans were actually the descendants of those traitors. Therefore, more and more sects began to denounce the 18 families. Some top sects even joined forces and prepared to gather all the forces of the flowing heaven boundary to fight with the 18 families. However, there were always some people in the world who were born rebellious or as timid as mice. At this critical juncture, quite a few top forces had actually thrown in their lot with the 18 clans. Perhaps, in their eyes, the 18 families were invincible in the flowing heaven boundary. Going against the 18 families was tantamount to suicide. In this case, they might as well side with them and be safe. The situation doesn't look good. Jiang Chen sat cross-legged in an inn in the ancient city with a grave expression. Chapter 544. They thought that all the top sects in the flowing heaven boundary would unite to fight against the 18 families. They never thought that some sects would betray them. As a result, the 18 families that were already extremely powerful felt even more invincible in the flowing heaven boundary. Moreover, as time went by, a few more top sects joined them. 3 days later, the commotion in the outside world seemed to have subsided. The sects that had declared war against the 18 families all kept quiet. Some sects even chose to seal their mountains and isolate themselves from the world. They were obviously afraid. Jiang Chen had been staying in the inn in the ancient city. He cultivated and inquired about the outside world at the same time. The 18 families have completely fallen out with the flowing heaven boundary. We trial takers will also be implicated. Jiang Chen sighed. His expression was extremely solemn. One had to know that the flowing heaven boundary was only the middle section of the bloody path. After walking out of the flowing heaven boundary, there was still a distance before they could reach the end of the bloody path. Now that the 18 families had fallen out with each other, not only would they deal with the local sects in the flowing heaven boundary, but they would also not let the trial takers go. However, Jiang Chen was very confused. Why would the 18 families target the trial takers this time? Could it be that the 18 families' big move in this life was related to the godless continent? Something big has happened. The Blood Hand sect leader was killed by an ancestor of the Wang family. The spiritual snake clan leader was killed by an elder of the Lin family. On this day, a serious news spread. The leaders of the 2 sects in the northwest were all killed within a day. There was also news that the Qin clan leader, Lu Yang, and Lu Zhu were seriously injured and their whereabouts were unknown. This made Jiang Chen's heart tense. He knew that this matter had blown up. The 18 families had begun to settle the score. Jiang Chen didn't know what to say, nor did he know what to do. He was worried about Hua Lianyi and the others. He was also thinking about how to get out of the bloody path. This journey on the bloody path was different from the past. This time, it was a complete trap. In the past, he entered the bloody path to train. Now, he had entered the path of blood to save his life. In this sort of situation, almost all the trial challengers who had entered the bloody path no longer had the heart to compete. They were all thinking about how to preserve their lives. Even Jiang Chen was the same. From here to the later part of the bloody path, I need to pass through 6 ancient cities, Jiang Chen thought. Those 6 ancient cities were a path that he had to pass through, and he couldn't go around them. Since the 18 families had fallen out with each other, they would definitely set up many checkpoints in the 6 ancient cities. At that time, for those trial takers who entered the bloody path, very few would be able to walk to the end. It was even to the extent that if this trend continued, it was extremely likely that this time's trial challengers would all be wiped out. However, Jiang Chen was not afraid. This was because the strongest person in the celestial flow world was at most Davis Blight Stage 5. The 2 strongest traders were basically stuck at the demigod level. In this case, Jiang Chen could cultivate in the flowing heaven world for 8 to 10 years. When he reached the 5th decay, he would be able to sweep through everything and leave the flowing heaven world. However, Jiang Chen did not wish to stay in the flowing heaven world all the time. On the godless continent, Jiang Chen still had many things to do. The sudden incident in the bloody path, and on the godless continent, a major incident similarly happened. No one had expected that the Azure Sky clan would disappear in a single night. This method of disappearance was very similar to the Dongxing dynasty in the past. Someone went to look at the Azure Sky clan's address before. There was not a trace of fighting inside, let alone a drop of blood falling, and not a corpse either. The entire clan's people all disappeared. What in the world is going on? Was it destroyed by the Martial Pavilion? Impossible! The Martial Pavilion's pavilion master, Lin Lang Wentian, isn't around. Based on the Martial Pavilion's present strength, it's impossible to destroy the Azure Sky clan silently. Moreover, there are no corpses inside the Azure Sky clan at all, and also no traces of fighting. Did the Azure Sky clan go to some place? Under everyone's guesses, a diviner stepped forward. He announced to the world that in the near future, there would be even more sects, families, and forces disappearing on the godless continent. This diviner said that they were summoned to some place and went forward to participate in a battle. The moment this news came out, many people were extremely puzzled. Who in the world could summon the entire clan? And what kind of battle required so many top powerhouses, sects, and forces? Eternal City! In the end, this diviner deduced one last time. When he deduced this result, a bolt of lightning fell out of thin air, directly crushing it into powder. Clearly, he touched upon a forbidden trace. Is the battle outside Eternal City still continuing? How many years has it been? Samsara is still rotating, the battle is still not extinguished. On this day, in several ancient forbidden lands, terrifying powerhouses who had lived for a long time woke up. They knew many things, but did not take any action. Perhaps in their eyes, everything was already indifferent. A full 9 lifetimes, if he doesn't return, the godless continent, even the 9 heavens divine world, will be destroyed in this era. Sigh, 9 lifetimes, what a long time, it's just a pity that he might not be able to return. A few of the powerhouses of the Forbidden Lands met, looked at each other, and sighed. They were all waiting for one person, but unfortunately, a full 9 lifetimes had passed, and that person still had not returned. At the same time, in the Heavenspan Shrine, Nianchunga's master, Taoist Heavenspan, looked up at the sky, his turbid eyes flashing with a trace of confusion. He entered the Heavenspan ruins and came to the small mound of earth. There was a person buried here, and this person's tombstone was the same one that Jiangchen had set up when he entered this place. Taoist Heavenspan looked at the mound of earth for a long time without speaking. An hour later, he suddenly cursed angrily. Bastard! If you don't come back soon, this king won't wait for you anymore. I'll wait for you for a full 9 lifetimes, and if you don't return this time, this king will go to the divine world and become the divine king. If this was heard by others, they would be so shocked that they would be speechless, or even unable to believe it. After all, no one would believe that someone who lived in the godless continent could become the divine king after entering the 9 heavens divine world. But if they knew Taoist Heavenspan's true identity, they would not doubt it. After all, his background was simply too incredible. AI, no one in this world can set up a tombstone for you. Now that it has been set up, it's time to see if you can return. After cursing for a bit, Taoist Heavenspan sat down next to the mound of dirt. Sighing, he said, I'm really tired of waiting, old friend. I've been waiting for you for 9 lifetimes. 8 epochs. Do you know how muddle-headed I've been in these 8 epochs? My blood energy and will to fight have been worn away. Chapter 545. Some people were born to be kings while others became bandits. In this prosperous era, such situations were becoming more and more common. This was not only a prosperous era, but also a chaotic era. After Jiangchun and the others had entered the bloody path, the godless continent ushered in a glorious era. Some people were blessed by heaven and earth the moment they were born. They were born as saints. Some people had an epiphany overnight and advanced several cultivation levels, reaching Angel's Decay Stage 5. There were also people who had multiple saint bodies and were invincible among their peers. Some people once said that those who entered the blood path, those peerless geniuses, would not be able to defeat their peers even if they came out of the blood path alive. This was because during this period of time, too many geniuses were born in godless continent, and they were too powerful. Of course, they did not know that those who entered the blood path might not even be able to come out alive. Something big has happened. The 18 families have started to kill the participants. 10 days later, Jiang Chen was still staying in the inn when he heard a shocking piece of news. The 18 families had sent out a large number of people, and there was no lack of Angel's Decay Stage 5 elites. They searched every nook and cranny of the flowing heaven world's bloody path and killed any outsiders they saw. Moreover, the blood of the outsiders who were killed was poured onto an altar on Broken Sky Mountain. Broken Sky Mountain is where the seal is. If the seal on Broken Sky Mountain is broken, the 18 families will be able to leave Godless Continent. Another 3 days later, more and more trial challengers were killed. Their flesh and blood were thrown onto the altar of Skybreak Mountain. At this moment, Jiang Chen finally understood why the 18 families were targeting the outsiders. Only the flesh and blood of the outsiders could break the seal on Broken Sky Mountain. Now, the one who is having the best time is probably Huang Dade. Suddenly, Jiang Chen thought of Huang Dade. After this guy was taken away by the primordial alligator clan, he did not have to worry about the 18 families. This was because the primordial alligator clan was extremely powerful. The 18 families did not have to go to war with the entire primordial alligator clan for Huang Dade. There were so many outsiders, so what if they lost Huang Dade? However, he didn't know where Nian Chang'e and the others were and whether they were well. Jiang Lu, Wakako, Xiao Qingyi, and Wutong have all been suppressed. A few days later, Jiang Chen heard a piece of news that shook him on the spot. At this moment, Jiang Chen stood up. His eyes flashed, and a cold light burst forth from the depths of his pupils. The Dark Saint Sun has sided with the Wang clan, one of the 18 clans. He joined forces with his followers to suppress Jiang Chen and the others. Moreover, he spread the word that Jiang Chen's life alone can exchange for their lives. Someone said. Jiang Chen chuckled and said, "It seems that my life is still more valuable." Subsequently, Jiang Chen inquired about the place where Jiang Lu and the others were imprisoned. It was the first ancient city on the way to the second half of the Blood Path, Blood Jade City. If I can exchange my life for theirs, how can I refuse? Jiang Chen said softly. Although he seemed very calm and relaxed, in truth, Jiang Chen also felt very helpless. He would go to Blood Jade City and exchange himself for Jiang Lu and the others. However, these people were thinking too much if they wanted his life. Now that I have stepped into the lower position of the immortal state, and have made some progress in the incomplete heavenly manual, maybe I can do it, Jiang Chen said softly. After cultivating the incomplete heavenly manual, the invisible door of the Great Tao opened in Jiang Chen's body. As his cultivation increased, the door of the Great Tao opened wider and wider, and the qi of the Great Tao emitted from it became denser. Although the qi of the Great Tao couldn't directly increase Jiang Chen's cultivation, it could let Jiang Chen have a deeper understanding of the Great Tao. The reason why cultivators cultivated was to become immortal. The reason why they could become immortal was because they had comprehended the Great Tao. The Great Tao was illusory and ethereal. Just by comprehending a portion of it, one could surpass ordinary people. It had many obscure powers that people couldn't fathom. For example, Jiang Chen had been constantly nourished by the qi of the Great Tao during this period of cultivation, causing some changes to his body. Previously, Jiang Chen had a holy body. Then, Jiang Chen had burned the undying bird Tao soul, causing changes to his holy body. Now, after being nourished by the qi of the Great Tao, Jiang Chen's physical body had become even more terrifying. It was like a boulder. Not only was it indestructible, but it was also indestructible. At the same time, runes of the Great Tao appeared in Jiang Chen's mind. These runes were somewhat incomplete, as if they were a piece of divine skill. There were martial skills in the world, but they were things that ordinary people used. After breaking through to the immortal state, one would have a portion of the immortal state's power, and could use another type of skill, which was the divine skill. However, there were too few divine skills in the godless mainland, so many people still used martial skills after breaking through to the immortal state. As for Jiang Chen, although he had mastered many divine skills, the divine skills that he had mastered were too powerful. He could only use them after becoming a real immortal. But now, in his mind, the runes that were born with the chi of the great Tao seemed to be a divine skill, and there was no limit to the realm. Jiang Chen had been comprehending it. Although it was incomplete, at least he could use a portion of its power. Moreover, Jiang Chen did not want to hide anything now. When the time came, he would use the ever-changing heavenly lamp. I was once invincible in the world, but now there are enemies in the world, Jiang Chen whispered. When all the enemies surrender, bury their bodies, melt their bones, and turn them into dust, I will be invincible again. When Jiang Chen's voice echoed, he stood up. His eyes shone brightly, and he flew into the sky above the ancient city. He shouted, "In this life, my name, my path, and my glory will start here. My name is Jiang Chen. My title is Tian Qin." After saying that, Jiang Chen stood up and flew toward the first ancient city checkpoint. As for the people in the ancient city, many of them were stunned. Who is this silly kid? Jiang Chen? Tian Qin? Is he that outsider? I heard that he is the reincarnation of Tian Chen, immortal king. Not only that, I also heard that he is the reincarnation of Tian Yuan, celestial king. At this moment, the news about Jiang Chen's identity spread. Some people's hearts palpitated and their eyes shone brightly. No one knew what they were thinking. Half a day later, Jiang Chen flew all the way and finally arrived in front of Blood Jade City. Releasing his holy awareness, Jiang Chen instantly got a clear picture of the situation in the Blood Jade City. There were no Heaven Realm cultivators in Blood Jade City. The strongest person was at the upper level of the Immortal Realm. Jiang Chen was puzzled. He wondered to himself why there weren't any celestial-level strongmen in the first challenge. Could it be that the 18 families did not value this place? Or did they think that the prestige of the 18 families was enough to intimidate all the outsiders? Dark Holy Sun! I, Jiang Chen, am here! At this moment, Jiang Chen stood outside Blood Jade City and his aura soared. Blood chi soared into the sky and dyed half the sky red. He was dressed in white, and his hair danced in the wind. When he opened and closed his eyes, the sun and moon rose and fell. Yin and Yang chi circulated and a Tai chi wheel rotated behind him. Chapter 546. One person, one voice, one life. Jiang Chen's words resounded throughout the entire Blood Jade City. After a few breaths, the dark saint appeared on the city wall with a smile on his face. He waved at Jiang Chen and said, "I've been waiting for you for a long time. I'm here, let them go." Jiang Chen said softly. "Naturally." The dark saint nodded. "I want you. As for them, they are useless to me." With that, the dark saint waved his hand in Jianglu and the rest were thrown out of the city wall like garbage, landing beside Jiang Chen. This made Jiang Chen a little stunned. Is the dark saint not afraid that he will leave after taking Jianglu and the rest away? Very confident. Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows. Since the dark saint dared to do this, he must have made sufficient preparations. This meant that it would be very difficult for Jiang Chen to leave this place today. I said they are useless to me. The dark saint smiled. I've been waiting for you. After saying that, the dark saint shook his head and said, "A curse has been planted in their bodies. Only my blood can remove the curse. I know you know many methods, but you can't remove the curse I planted." Jiang Chen frowned. He said, "Do you mean I have to fight you today? If I don't kill you, I can't get your blood. If I can't get your blood, I can't save them, right?" "Yes and no." The dark saint chuckled. "Why should I do it myself?" "That's right, with the dark saint's strength and identity, he has a lot of followers. Moreover, now that he has joined the Wang family will naturally do something for him. Then, it would be very difficult to get the dark saint's blood today. You guys go first, I will bring his blood, Jiangchen said to Jianglu and the rest. However, how could Jianglu and the rest leave? They were very clear that the Dark Saint had set up a trap and was waiting for Jiangchen to jump in. Boss, even if we die, we will be with you, Jianglu said. To the side, Wakako and the rest also nodded. Their eyes and expressions were filled with guilt. It had already happened several times. If it weren't for their lack of strength, Jiangchen wouldn't have needed to take the risk. Wakako and the others felt ashamed and guilty. They felt that they had let Jiangchen down. We're all on the same side. Jiangchen smiled and said, Don't tell me you guys think I'll die here? Boss. Xiao Qingyi opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. Other than guilt, they were also worried. In fact, when they were being suppressed, they had been praying in their hearts that Jiangchen would not come here. However, they also knew Jiangchen's character. He would definitely come. Now, Jiangchen was here. Who's the boss? Jiangchen raised his eyebrows and said, Listen to me. Otherwise, don't call me boss in the future. But... Jianglu opened his mouth, but before he could finish, Jiangchen scolded angrily. Let's go! Boss, if you really die here, I, Wakako, will do everything I can to avenge you. Wakako pointed to the sky and said, This is what I, Wakako, said. Hurry up and leave. Be quick, Jiangchen said with a smile. Your boss's life is tough. In the end, Jianglu and the others left. Jiangchen raised his head and looked at the Dark Saint. He shrugged and said, It's quiet now. If you have any tricks, just take them out. Then you'll have to take them, said the Dark Saint. Buzz! As soon as he finished speaking, a huge array enveloped this area and sealed off all directions. There were even barriers and restrictions that turned into runes all over the sky, flickering like stars. Obviously, the Dark Saint was afraid that Jiangchen would escape. But he didn't know that this time, Jiangchen would not escape no matter what. Since his rebirth, Jiangchen had tried to escape. He had also tried to shrink back. He had also been desperate and helpless. His life was much more bumpy than his previous life. However, on this day, Jiangchen wouldn't back down. Just like how he roared in the ancient city before, from today onwards, his name, his glory, would begin. After a few breaths, 3 immortal state upper-level geniuses stood out. These 3 people were the followers of the Dark Saint. Their auras were very strong, and they were only 1 step away from the immortal state. Dark Saint, sit down, Li. Someone said his name, but before he could finish, Jiangchen waved his hand impatiently and said, I'm not interested in the name of a dying person. Kill. When the 3 people heard that, they were immediately enraged and attacked decisively. Who do you think you are? Jiangchen shouted. His fists danced, and the chi of the 6 paths erupted. Rays of fist radiance emitted 6 different colors. The power of the 6 paths appeared, and the fist radiance shook the sky. Under the 6 punches, the 3 immortal state upper-level geniuses were killed directly. They didn't even have the chance to resist. 6 paths of reincarnation fist? The Dark Saint narrowed his eyes and suddenly laughed wildly. You're too polite. Not only did you give me your life, but you also gave me the 6 paths of reincarnation fist. Do you want it? Come and get it, Jiangchen said softly. His figure rushed out and went straight for the Dark Saint on the city wall. But before Jiangchen could reach the Dark Saint, an old man suddenly blocked in front of Jiangchen. In an instant, Jiangchen was shocked. His pupils suddenly shrank, and he retreated backward. Little guy, your reaction is quite fast. The old man laughed. His aura had already reached the immortal state first blight. Oh, there's a hidden immortal state person, Jiangchen said softly. He opened and closed his hand. His palm print was like a mountain, and it carried the monstrous flames of the immortal bird. You're just at the lower level of the immortal state, the old man said contemptuously. Do you know the difference between the immortal state and the immortal state? Everything in the world can be broken. If not, why bother to cultivate? Jiangchen said softly. However, The old man just waved his hand casually and shattered Jiang Chen's palm print. Then, he took a step forward and pointed his finger. The cold light at the tip of his finger was like a thunder snake. In an instant, it bombarded Jiang Chen's body. Boom! However, with an explosion, Jiang Chen was pushed back more than 1,000 meters. However, his body was not injured at all. This scene surprised the old man. He stared at Jiang Chen's body and said, "Holy body? Take a guess." Jiang Chen said mockingly, but he was speechless in his heart. It was because his holy body had been transforming. Now, he didn't know what the name of his holy body was. Perhaps, his holy body had never appeared before. Your immortal state body can block the attack of an immortal state cultivator. Your body is not bad, but it can be refined into a puppet, the old man said. His figure suddenly disappeared and hid in the void. Dark Master! Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect the immortal state cultivator to be a Dark Master. Jiang Chen didn't dare to be careless. He also escaped into the void. His figure and aura disappeared without a trace. Chapter 547. However, the perception of a celestial realm cultivator was too sensitive. Even though Jiang Chen's concealment technique was extraordinary, it was still instantly seen through. Boom! Accompanied by a muffled sound, Jiang Chen was blasted out of the void by the old man's palm. Then, his foot landed and ruthlessly stomped on Jiang Chen's chest. Pfft! A mouthful of blood sprayed out from Jiang Chen's mouth as his body heavily smashed onto the ground. Dust flew everywhere, and smoke and dust rose everywhere. Jiang Chen, do you know why I'm targeting you? At this moment, the dark saint on the city wall suddenly spoke. Do you think that it's only because of the relationship between the Darkness Temple and the Martial Pavilion that I'm targeting you? Without waiting for Jiang Chen to speak, the dark saint continued. What's the Martial Pavilion? Even Lin Lang Wentian might not be able to come out of the third mountain. Why should the Darkness Temple fear the Martial Pavilion? Why should we flatter the Martial Pavilion? I want to kill you just to. Without waiting for the dark saint to finish speaking, Jiang Chen rushed up from the ground, bringing with him a cloud of dust. Do you think I'm dead for sure? What? At this moment, the dark saint and the old man cried out in alarm because Jiang Chen's speed was too fast. With a step, he stepped over the old man and appeared in front of the dark saint. However, the dark saint reacted extremely quickly. His figure moved horizontally, and at the same time, another celestial blight powerhouse appeared beside him. Without waiting for Jiang Chen to react, the celestial blight powerhouse pressed down on Jiang Chen's shoulder and ruthlessly smashed him into the air. The void was even torn apart by Jiang Chen's body, and it was torn apart like a spider's web. If I can seize this body. The old man was shocked. Looking at Jiang Chen, who was unharmed and had smashed the void, greed appeared in his eyes. Dark Saint. Do you dare to fight me? Jiang Chen flew out of the void, and as he shouted, he charged toward the Dark Saint once again. However, the Dark Saint was fearless and did not accept the challenge. Because there were two celestial blight powerhouses here, there was no need for him to do anything. There are only two celestial realm powerhouses in this city. The Dark Saint said mockingly. Defeat them and then fight me. Ha! Jiang Chen smiled contemptuously. Without these two people, you would have been a corpse. I just don't want to fight with you. The Dark Saint said. There are some things that you don't need to do. Boom! Boom! At this moment, the two Heaven's Blight powerhouses attacked once more, one with a fist and one with a palm. Their auras were monstrous. Jiang was very helpless. Facing these two strong men in the celestial realm, Jiang Chen was lucky to survive. Now, he could be beaten. As time passed, Jiang Chen's physical body gradually could not hold on anymore. Bloody scars appeared in some areas, and some areas even split open, scattering out bright red blood that carried an undying flame. However, these two powerhouses at Heaven's Blight were also shocked. A mere low-level deity realm cultivator could actually persist until now in the face of their attacks. Most importantly, although Jiang Chen was injured, these were only superficial wounds. "Suppress him and then slowly refine him," one of them said. His hands formed a seal, and an array formation appeared. Chains like dragon bones were thrown out and wrapped around Jiang Chen's body. "Desolation!" Jiang Chen raised his arm, and like an unsheathed sword, he cut these chains apart. However, at this moment, a scarlet bell fell and shrouded Jiang Chen in it. For a time, flames appeared around Jiang Chen, and even wind, fire, and lightning appeared. There was even a trace of corrosive power. "Inside the blood-refining bell, you will turn into a pool of blood. No matter how powerful your physical body is, it's useless," the old man said coldly. "Dong! Dong!" Jiang Chen formed a fist seal, and the 6 paths of reincarnation fist continuously struck out, bombarding the blood-refining bell. After a few breaths, the 6 paths of reincarnation chi erupted, and a fist light rushed out, punching a hole in the blood-refining bell. Following that, Jiang Chen rushed out, formed a seal with both hands, and bombarded the array formation barrier around him. Jiang Chen understood very well that with these 2 deity realm cultivators around, the Dark Holy Sun could not be killed today. He wanted to leave first and escape first. "Want to run? Humph! Since you're here today, don't think about leaving!" The 2 of them shouted angrily and rushed over. A sharp sword was unsheathed, and the void was instantly shattered by the sword light. When Jiang Chen saw this, a trace of a mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He suddenly turned around and said, "I said I won't retreat any more." "What?" At this moment, the 2 deity realm cultivators focused their eyes and saw runes appear in Jiang Chen's hand. When the runes flashed, a light door appeared behind Jiang Chen, and then a few battle spirits stepped out of the light door. "Spirit Summoner!" "No! Spirit Summoner!" After a few breaths, not only did battle spirits appear in the light door, but there were also undead skeletons rushing out. In just a few breaths, the place was filled with undead. There were even battle spirits that emitted a dazzling light, holding long spears, and rushed toward the 2 deity realm cultivators. "You have many tricks up your sleeve, but it's a pity that your cultivation is too weak." Suddenly, an extremely disdainful voice rang out. Before Jiang Chen could react, he was hit by a snow-white palm. This time, Jiang Chen's expression changed drastically. Cracks appeared on his body, and even his divine soul was shocked until it dimmed. His soul was in severe pain as if it was about to be torn apart. "Deity's second decay!" Jiang Chen was shocked. He didn't expect that there would be a deity realm cultivator in this place. As a result, Jiang Chen's heart sank to the bottom. He sighed in his heart. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to leave this place alive today. If he couldn't leave this place alive, if he couldn't get the blood of the Dark Holy Sun, not only would Jiang Chen die, but Jiang Lu and the others would also die. "I can't die! I won't die either!" Jiang Chen snarled. His eyes were bloodshot. A green lamp started burning in his soul. At this moment, Jiang Chen didn't dare to hesitate. A green lamp floated above his head, and the ever-changing heavenly lamp appeared. However, before Jiang Chen could make a move, the deity's second decay cultivator attacked again. With a palm, Jiang Chen's ever-changing heavenly lamp was forced back into his soul. "Is it really over?" Jiang Chen sighed. The ever-changing heavenly lamp was forced back into his soul, and it was also sealed. He couldn't use it for a short period of time. Catch! At this moment, Mu Yud's voice came from afar. Then, a white jade coffin broke through the array and barrier here and landed in front of Jiang Chen. "What?" Jiang Chen was stunned. Did Mu Yud want him to hide in the white jade coffin to save his life? "The body of your third life is inside," Mu Yud said. "Deity King Tian Yuan?" Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed. He lifted the lid of the coffin and saw a man who looked exactly like him lying quietly in the coffin. Chapter 548. As soon as the coffin was opened, the man opened his eyes abruptly, as if a corpse had come back to life. Then a mysterious light turned into a furnace that shrouded Jiang Chun and the man. "What is that? Tian Yuan, immortal king's body?" At this moment, everyone exclaimed. The three celestial realm experts had a bad premonition. They hurriedly attacked, but found that they could not break the furnace at all. At this moment, Jiang Chun was in a daze. He could not feel anything. He only knew that his body was changing. After a dozen breaths, Jiang Chun gradually woke up. The moment he opened his eyes, he did not see the furnace, but an image. In the image, there was a man standing outside an ancient city wall, facing an army of tens of thousands alone. The man was covered in blood, his hair flying in the wind, and he held a broken halberd in his hand. He stood there, his life aura weak. He was a man who was about to die. However, the army of tens of thousands, facing this man who was about to die, did not dare to make a move. After a long time, the halberd in the man's hand broke, and his life aura was extremely weak. Finally, he turned around, looked at the ancient city behind him, and sighed. "This life, I failed again, Tian Yuan. Flowing heaven world and godless continent will be ours in the end." Seeing that the man was about to die, a general in the army of tens of thousands spoke. However, the man turned around and said with a smile, "I alone can stop all of you. Now, the gods of godly world of 9 heavens are about to descend. How are you going to conquer flowing heaven world? I have delayed until now with my own strength. Even if I die, I have enough." The man sighed. "This time, I don't know when I will be able to return." As his voice fell, a green palm fell from the sky, shaking the barrier between flowing heaven world and godly world of 9 heavens. Then, millions of gods descended and started a war with the other party. The moment the man saw millions of gods descending, he finally closed his eyes and fell to the ground. The image ended there. Jiang Chen's mood was complicated. He knew that this man was his third reincarnation, heaven origin god monarch. With the strength of a single person, he fought against an army of tens of thousands of foreign cultivators, until he died. Finally, the deities of the 9 heavens divine world descended. Ah, so the me of the past was actually so powerful, so great. Jiang Chen teased himself and sighed. But in this life, I'm a little weak. You were never weak. Suddenly, a voice sounded in Jiang Chen's ears. Jiang Chen suddenly turned around and saw a wisp of soul beside him. It was like a burning lamp, but it was about to be extinguished. "You are the 9th reincarnation, right?" The remnant soul sighed. 9 is the extreme number, 10,000 words. If I can't return in this life, I will never return. You are a remnant soul of my 3rd life? Jiang Chen asked. Don't be afraid, there's no need to be afraid. You are still you, and no one in this world can defeat you. Looking at the long river of history, only your existence can make this world complete, the remnant soul said. After saying that, the remnant soul disappeared, and then the furnace exploded. At this moment, there was nothing in front of him except for a white jade coffin. The body of his 3rd life had already merged with Jiang Chen's. However, Jiang Chen's cultivation did not increase, but his body was so strong that it was terrifying. Boy! Die! Go to hell! At this moment, the 3 celestial realm cultivators rushed over. Their fists and palms fell, and a divine skill erupted. A void spear pierced over. The power of a divine skill was not something a martial skill could compare to. Under the spear, it was as if the great Tao was suppressed. When Jiang Chen saw this, he wanted to avoid it, but for some reason, he raised his palm and faced it. Buzz! With a vibration, Jiang Chen's palm was flowing with divine light, and he firmly held the spear formed by the divine skill. Then, his palm shook lightly, and the spear shattered, turning into a rain of light. What's going on? Lower-level celestial realm, barehanded against the divine skill spear of a celestial being's 2nd blight. At this moment, the faces of everyone present changed. Especially the celestial being's second blight powerhouse, he retreated on the spot. There is no me here, there is no me here, Jiang Chun whispered and took a step forward like a breeze. He walked past the old man, gently raised his palm, and gently lowered it. The old man's body and soul collapsed in an instant. Then, he took another step and came in front of another celestial being. Similarly, his palms slashed, and this person turned into dust. Dark Saint, it's your turn, Jiang Chun whispered. After merging with the body of his third life, Jiang Chun had an invincible aura. He pointed out a finger, and the barren sword intent condensed. Then, a stream of light broke through the air and directly pierced through the Dark Saint's forehead. However, the Dark Saint did not fall. A talisman appeared in his body, and under the burning of it, the injuries on the Dark Saint's body healed. This was the Death Substitute Talisman. Jiang Chun, this is a bloody path. You won't live long, the Dark Saint said coldly. His figure disappeared into the darkness, as if he was about to escape. Can you run away? Jiang Chun shouted softly. He used the 6 paths of reincarnation fist, shattering the void within 100 miles. At this moment, the Dark Saint had nowhere to hide. However, before Jiang Chun could make a move, the aura of a celestial being fifth blight came from afar. Although Jiang Chun was strong, he was much weaker than a celestial being fifth blight powerhouse. I'll take a few drops of your blood and spare your dog life, Jiang Chun said softly. He raised his hand and struck out. Like a sharp blade, he cut off one of the Dark Saint's arms and then took away the blood essence that dripped from his body. Then, Jiang Chun put away the white jade immortal gold coffin and grabbed Mu Yud. The two of them retreated and escaped into the void. Puff! After a dozen breaths, Jiang Chun and Mu Yud walked out of the void. At the same time, Jiang Chun spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura was extremely weak. What's going on? Mu Yud exclaimed. Jiang Chun was able to kill a celestial being just a moment ago. Why was he suddenly injured? The power of the third life is too strong. I can't use it casually. Jiang Chun sighed. If he hadn't used the power of the third life, he wouldn't have been able to kill a celestial being cultivator so easily. Moreover, this power couldn't be used casually. Otherwise, the consequences would be severe. If it was light, he would be seriously injured. If it was heavy, he would die. Hurry up and find a place to heal, Mu Yud said worriedly. After causing such a ruckus in Blood Jade City, the 18 families will definitely have their eyes on you. I'm afraid you'll have a hard time in the future. What's there to be afraid of? Jiang Chun smiled. In his third life, he could face an army of tens of thousands by himself. In this life, he was only facing 18 families. What was there to fear? Chapter 549. Although Jiang Chun had fused with the body of his third life, he could not fully control the power of his third life. After all, his current cultivation was too low, and he was unable to control that terrifying power. At the same time, Jiang Chun had only obtained the most important part of the memories of his third life. As for the other memories, Jiang Chun still could not recall them. Perhaps only after he had fused with all the bodies of his previous 8 lives would Jiang Chun be able to remember everything. Now, Jiang Chun was very confident. He had never been so confident before. His third life had been able to face thousands of soldiers and horses. He was confident that he could do the same in this life. Now, Jiang Chun was fearless in the face of the 18 families in the blood path. However, Jiang Chun was very weak at the moment. With his low-level immortal state cultivation, he was able to suppress the heavenly human cultivators mainly because of the power of his third life. That power could not be used easily as the backlash was extremely strong. Let me sleep for a while, Jiang Chun said softly and slowly closed his eyes. He was too tired. Before he fell asleep, Jiang Chun gave the Dark Holy Sun's blood essence to Mu Yud and asked him to find Jian Lu and the others to remove the curse in their bodies. Just like that, Jiang Chun fell asleep and used his unique divine body to heal himself. More than 10 days later, Jiang Chen's injuries were healed and the backlash in his body disappeared. He slowly woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, Jiang Chen could not help but be stunned. He looked around and realized that he seemed to be lying in a sealed object. Let me tell you, the person buried in this coffin was once a divine king. Now I am in trouble. I want to use this divine king's body to exchange for some rare treasures. The bidding starts now. The highest bidder wins. At that moment, Mu Yud's voice rang in Jiang Chen's ears. It seemed that he was auctioning something. Jiang Chen blinked and looked around again. Only then did he realize what was going on. F***CK. I'm lying in a white jade divine gold coffin. Most importantly, Mu Yud's bastard grandson is auctioning me now? What a guy. How ruthless. Mu Yud! Son of a bitch! Jiang Chen roared and pushed with both hands, trying to push open the coffin lid. However, this white jade immortal gold coffin seemed to be sealed. No matter how Jiang Chen attacked it, he was unable to open it. At the same time, a group of people outside heard the sound coming from the coffin, and their faces all changed. A timid person pointed at the white jade immortal gold coffin with a pale face and said with a trembling voice, "The deity king came back to life? This little Taoist. Don't do anything stupid. If this god king were to come back to life, wouldn't he become a corpse god? Won't we all be sucked dry by him?" Cries of alarm rang out in the surroundings, and some people even retreated on the spot. Mu Yude, on the other hand, had a gloomy look on his face. He hurriedly shouted to the crowd, "Everyone, this is the energy within the deity king's corpse. It's not a zombie. Come, let's begin the bidding for the godly king's body. I'll give you a white jade immortal gold coffin." Jiang Chen's face fell when he heard that. "Bastard grandson, you're really something. You're even doing a promotion. Buy one get one free. I say, stop messing around. I've finally gathered a group of rich second-generation heirs, and I'm just about to get some treasures." Mu Yude sent a telepathic message to Jiang Chen and comforted him. "Don't worry, once we get some treasures, I'll teach you how to get out of this coffin. By then, you'll have all the treasures." "What treasures are you looking for?" Jiang Chen asked curiously. With Mu Yude's cultivation, normal treasures would not be of any use to him. Moreover, this guy had always liked to rob tombs, so he must have collected a lot of treasures. So, what did he lack? "The chime bell," Mu Yude said sneakily. "I just heard that among these rich second-generation heirs, one of them has a broken chime bell." "The chime bell?" Jiang Chen exclaimed. "That thing was very powerful. According to legend, if the complete chime bell was rung, it could shake the entire world. The sound of the bell could shake one's soul. When an elite rang the chime bell, it could shake the entire world. However, the chime bell was too difficult to make, and the method to make it had long been lost." "What's the use of a broken chime bell?" Jiang Chen asked. "I know how to make it complete," Mu Yude said. "I've raided so many tombs, and I happened to find something related to the chime bell." "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and sell me out." Jiang Chen was excited. If he could make a complete chime bell, Jiang Chen would be able to fight a heavenly human elite head-on. "Don't worry. I'll definitely sell you out," Mu Yude said. However, both of them had strange expressions on their faces after they said that. One wanted to sell him out, and the other wanted to sell him out first. Who was the one trying to scam whom? "Little brother, I think the bell in your hand is pretty good, but it's a pity that it's not complete." Mu Yude's eyes fell on a young man in purple. The young man looked ordinary, and his cultivation was not high, but his followers were all at the upper level of the immortal state. Moreover, the young man's identity was extraordinary. He was the young master of the Feather Tribe. The Feather Tribe used to be glorious in the sky-flowing boundary, but they had declined. However, the Feather Tribe's foundation was still there, and they only had one descendant. Naturally, they would protect him and give him all the good stuff. Most importantly, the Harpies were now under the control of 18 different clans. So, of course, they were Jiang Chen's enemies. In that case, if he didn't trick this brat, who else could he trick? Don't mention it. You treat a broken bell like a treasure. I don't see any use for it, the young master said. Why? Do you want it? Ahem ahem. Mu Yud coughed a few times. The greed in his eyes was hidden deep inside. He frowned and said, This bell is not bad, but it's incomplete. Compared to this godly king's body, it's naturally inferior. Moreover, I'm buying the deity king's body for free. I can increase the price, the young master said hurriedly. This brat was completely spoiled by his family. He was a complete hedonistic son of rich parents. In his eyes, what was so good about a broken bell? Could it compare to the deity king's body? Could it compare to the deity king's body? It's fate that we met. You can increase the price, Mu Yud said. I'm in dire straits now. Otherwise, who would sell their family's property? This broken bell and a divine skill. What do you think? The young master said. Although divine skills are common in the 9 heavens divine world, they are very rare in the lower world. Isn't this a bit? Mu Yud was overjoyed. He didn't expect the young master to be so wasteful. He changed divine skills just like that. Is it not enough? The feather youth looked at Mu Yud and thought that he hadn't added enough. After a moment of silence, he said, 2 divine skills. I can't afford more. Otherwise, I'll be punished by the elders. What? 2 divine skills? Mu Yud was shocked, but he acted like he was in a difficult position. He pretended to think for a while, then nodded and said, Since it's fate, let's make the deal. Chapter 550. Divine skills were so rare in the lower realm that they were considered treasures. Although Jiang Chen had mastered many holy techniques, the holy techniques he had mastered could only be exerted by true gods. By then, the only movement Jiang Chen could exert was the incomplete 1.5 movements. Now that the young master of the Feather Tribe had taken out 2 divine skills, even Jiang Chen was tempted. You can have the white jade divine gold coffin and the deity king's body. Mu Yud patted the feather young lord's shoulder and said, Once you fuse with this body, not to mention those of the same generation, even the experts of the older generation will have to submit to you. Ha, great! The young master of the Feather Tribe laughed wildly, thinking that he had struck gold. Then, the 2 of them made the deal. After the deal, Mu Yud turned around and left. He agreed to meet Jiang Chen in the woods outside the city, and told Jiang Chen how to get out of the white jade divine gold coffin. Jiang Chen was also excited. This deal had finally come to an end. However, when Jiang Chen was about to get out of the white jade divine gold coffin, he heard the young master of the Feather Tribe say, We don't need this white jade divine gold coffin, but we can exchange it for something. Young master, this white jade divine gold coffin is used to forge divine weapons. We can't exchange it for something else. Young master, this item is rare. It can be used as a family treasure. A few of his followers tried to persuade him. After all, the white jade divine gold coffin was too rare. If it was melted and forged into a divine weapon, it could be used to dominate an area. However, the young master of the Feather Tribe said with a witty look, What do you know? The white jade divine gold coffin is still white jade divine gold coffin. It can't even be compared to a divine weapon. Oh? Young master. Are you talking about? The followers seemed to know what the young master of the Feather Tribe was talking about. Their eyes flashed with admiration. They thought that the young master of the Feather Tribe was indeed smart. Come with me to Broken Mountain. As far as I know, the young master of the Lin family is there. He has a heaven-measuring ruler with him. It has an extraordinary origin and is a divine weapon, the young master of the Feather Tribe said. Young master, what exactly is that divine weapon? Is there anything special about it? Someone asked. I heard that a deity king left it here, even though it's a little damaged, the Feather Clan's young master said softly. He frowned slightly and said, If worst comes to worst, I'll just raise the price. Young lord is wise. But young master, that little bastard from the Lin clan, can he exchange with you? Someone asked. There will definitely be a trade. The young master of the Feather clan was very certain. He said, As far as I know, the Lin clan is refining a divine weapon, and they just happen to need white jade immortal gold. With that, the Feather tribe young master got up and flew towards Broken Sky Mountain with a group of followers. Jiangchen had wanted to get out of the white jade immortal gold coffin and escape with the coffin. But now that he heard this, he was unwilling to leave. Heaven measuring ruler? God King divine artifact? Jiangchen's own weapon, chasing the heavens, was already broken and could no longer be used. Now, Jiangchen just so happened to be lacking a divine weapon. It would be great if he could get the heaven measuring ruler. Moreover, artifacts like the heaven measuring ruler, bell, and cauldron were extraordinary and had extraordinary significance. Generally, people who used these things as weapons all had something up their sleeves. Moreover, that was the heaven measuring ruler that a godly king had used before. It must be extraordinary. Half a day later, the Feather tribe young master carried the white jade immortal gold coffin and arrived at Broken Sky Mountain with a group of followers. Broken Sky Mountain was the key to sealing the 18 families. Now, people from the 18 families were everywhere on Broken Sky Mountain. There was no lack of celestial realm powerhouses among them. At the same time, the place was filled with the smell of blood. This was because during this period of time, the 18 clans had killed many trial takers. Their flesh and blood were thrown onto the altar of Broken Sky Mountain. They were using the trial takers' flesh and blood to break the seal of this place. Feather tribe young master! Moyu, what are you doing here? At this moment, several youths about the same age as Moyu walked over. These few people were all descendants of the 18 families. Their status in the families was not ordinary. Lin Feng, I've heard that the Lin clan is making a weapon and they need some celestial gold. I'm here to give it to you, said Moyu smiling. He looked at the group of young people and saw a young man in white clothes with a black crown on his head. That young man had a high social status in the group. He was surrounded by a group of people. When Lin Feng heard him, he was stupefied. He had already seen the white jade immortal gold coffin on Moyu's back. He had the impression that he had seen it somewhere before, but he couldn't remember where. However, with his eyes he could tell that it was the real white jade divine gold. What do you want? Asked Lin Feng. Give me your heaven measuring ruler, said Moyu straightforwardly. Your heaven measuring ruler is broken, it's no different from an ordinary weapon. You can exchange it with me. The Lin clan can also use white jade immortal gold coffin to make a weapon. Heh. Lin Feng smiled and said, Do you know what this heaven measuring ruler is called? What? Moyu was astonished. He only knew that it was a godly king's heaven measuring ruler. He didn't know anything else. This ruler is called Hao Tian. Lin Feng frowned. In the ancient times, Hao Tian the godly king used a weapon. What? Hao Tian! Hao Tian! At that moment, Moyu and the others were astonished. Even Jiangchen was astonished. Hao Tian the godly king was one of the strongest godly kings in history. Back then, Hao Tian the godly king came down from the continent of the 9 clouds and broke the barrier between the 2 worlds to resist the invasion of the foreign world. In the end, Hao Tian the godly king fought his way out and broke into the foreign world. After that, Hao Tian the godly king disappeared. Some people said that Hao Tian the godly king had died in the foreign world. Some people said that Hao Tian the godly king was still alive, but it was difficult for him to come back. But no matter what, from ancient times until now, only Hao Tian the godly king had been able to break into the foreign world. Maybe there were other people who had done it, but only Hao Tian the godly king was recorded. Now, Jiangchen hadn't thought that Hao Tian the heaven measuring ruler had used it. But the Hao Tian the ruler is broken, its power is not complete, said Moyu. It can't even use 1% of its original power. Lin Feng was embarrassed. Even though it was the Hao Tian the ruler, it was broken and its power was less than 1% of its original power. Now, if the Lin clan made a weapon successfully, it would be much more powerful than the broken Hao Tian the ruler. The Hao Tian the ruler, said Lin Feng, but he hadn't finished talking when outside of Duan Tian Mountain, people were shouting and shouting. Tens of thousands of people had gathered outside of Duan Tian Mountain and were moving towards Duan Tian Mountain. Those people were the local influential groups of the flowing celestial world who were fighting against the 18 clans. Chapter 551. You young people stay here. We'll go. Guard Duan Tian Mountain well. If the deployment spell is damaged, it will delay the sealing. You can't bear the responsibility. At that moment, the cultivators of the celestial realm on Duan Tian Mountain rushed out, leaving only the young people behind. Jiangqin couldn't see the outside world, but he could hear the voices. Is this a chance for me? Jiangqin had an odd look on his face. Without these celestial realm practitioners, how could these youngsters in Duan Tian compete with him? Kill and rob? That's not good. I'm also a very righteous person. How can the weapon used by the Hao Tian godly king fall into the hands of these thieves? I have a reason to attack. After a few breaths, Jiangqin looked serious. He had found a very perfect reason for himself. But Jiangqin didn't rush to attack. He was waiting for Moyu to raise the price. As expected, Moyu also raised the price, generously, in order to get the Hao Tian ruler. A white jade divine gold coffin and a godly skill, what do you think? Deal! Lin Feng nodded immediately. After all, the Hao Tian ruler was damaged. Its power was less than 1% of what it used to be. It was no different from an ordinary godly weapon. It would be better to change it to white jade immortal gold. The Lin clan could also forge a heavenly weapon, whose power was far above this damaged Hao Tian ruler. Then, the two of them started to trade. One of them took out the Hao Tian ruler, and the other handed over the white jade divine gold coffin and a godly skill. However, at that moment, Jiangqin made a hand seal and kicked the coffin lid away. Eh? What? At that moment, the group of people was stunned. How could a living person jump out of the coffin? The godly king came back to life! Mayu exclaimed. Her eyes were full of fear. The group of people next to her were also terrified. How could the godly king come back to life? You are Jiangqin! Lin Feng reacted quickly. His face was extremely gloomy. Previously, he thought the white jade divine gold coffin looked familiar, but he didn't remember it. Now that he saw Jiangqin, he finally remembered that this was the white jade divine gold coffin in Muyu's possession. After that battle, Lin Suori and the ancestor of the Wang clan died in battle. After that, Jiangqin and the others, as well as the white jade immortal gold coffin, were made into portraits and placed among the 18 families as wanted criminals. Bang! Bang! Without waiting for the crowd to react, Jiangqin lifted the coffin with his left hand and grabbed the coffin lid with his right hand. Then, he slammed the coffin into the crowd. With his current strength, this group of people was no match for him at all. After a few rounds, the group of youths were all slapped down. Many thanks, everyone, Jiangqin said with a smile. He put away the clear sky ruler and the divine skill. Then, he took the white jade immortal gold coffin and turned to run. However, before he could run very far, he turned back. You're still coming? I'll give you everything. Mou was terrified. His body trembled as he said, Don't kill me! I'll give you whatever you want. Who cares? Jiangqin curled his lips, and a cold light flashed on his fingertips. The cultivation of Jiangqin and the others were all destroyed. Then, he came to the top of Broken Mountain and saw an altar. Around the altar, there were corpses piled up. Blood turned into streams and flowed on the altar. There was an array on the altar. This array was condensing the flesh and blood, and it was constantly attacking the seal on the altar. A group of traitors, how dare you think you can leave the bloody path? Jiangqin raised his eyebrows, and the sun and moon brilliance flashed in his eyes. In a few breaths he found the core of the array. Then, he punched out. Array runes appeared on his fist and directly shattered the array. There's an enemy behind us? In the distance, the group of heavenly beings who were fighting fiercely instantly sensed that the array was shattered. A dozen people rushed over, but when they arrived, Jiangchen had already escaped into the void and left. Who did this? A heavenly being cultivator roared. The array was destroyed, and it would take a long time and a lot of precious materials to rebuild it. Moyu! Lin Feng said in a deep voice. That guy brought a white jade immortal gold coffin with Jiangchen inside. What? Moyu! Do you want to die? A few heavenly being cultivators shouted. Moyu's face was as black as ink. She trembled and hurriedly explained. It's not my fault. I didn't know that Jiangchen was inside the coffin. I'll deal with you later. At this moment, Jiangchen left Broken Mountain and met up with Muyude. The two of them looked at each other and smiled sneakily. Then they hid in a cave that they had dug earlier. After setting up an array, they began to divide the loot. This white jade coffin. Muyude rubbed his hands. It was mine! Jiangchen's face darkened. Now, it's returned to its rightful owner. Then, the godly skill. Muyude's face darkened. If he had known this would happen, he would not have given the white jade coffin to Jiangchen. Let's see what the godly skill is, Jiangchen said. I've seen it. One is the forbidden skill, and the other is the nebula palm. Muyude pursed his lips. They are the lowest level godly skills. However, even the lowest level godly skills were more powerful than martial skills. This godly skill is not very good. Jiangchen looked at the godly skill in his hand. It was a very ordinary sword godly skill. Cultivate it first. It's much more powerful than martial skills anyway, Muyude said. Then Muyude took out the broken chime bell and said, Give me this chime bell? Only I know how to fix it. Even if I give it to you, you won't be able to use it. Okay. Jiangchen did not have any objections. He took out the clear sky ruler and said mockingly, Then give it to me. This is... Muyude's eyes lit up when he saw the clear sky ruler. He said, The clear sky ruler? Oh? You know it? Jiangchen was surprised. He did not expect Muyude to recognize the clear sky ruler at a glance. How can I not know it? The clear sky ruler was once used by the clear sky ruler. Muyude's face was full of greed. He pointed at the chime bell in his hand and said, Do you want to trade? What do you want? Jiangchen glared at him. Although the chime bell was extraordinary, it was still inferior to the clear sky ruler. However, the clear sky ruler was also damaged. Its power was less than 1% of what it used to be. You can fix the chime bell, then can you fix the clear sky ruler? Jiangchen asked. Muyude had stolen many ancient tombs. He must have obtained many things, including some ancient secrets and many secret skills. Since he could fix the chime bell, then the clear sky ruler. I can, but... Muyude frowned. I need the blood essence of a divine king to fix it. Muyude's eyes narrowed. He stared at Jiangchen and said, Aren't you AF * king divine king? But I haven't recovered to my peak strength yet. I'm not a divine king, Jiangchen said with a wry smile. He was a divine king in the past. Now, Jiangchen was only a cultivator in the lower immortal state. Chapter 552. Your soul won't change. Use your soul to nurture this clear sky ruler, and you'll be able to repair it sooner or later, Muyude said. He gritted his teeth and looked very angry. Bastard! I let you take advantage of me. Who are you calling bastard? Jiangchen squinted and said, Where did you hide my other bodies? Send them all to me when we get out. Ahem. We'll talk about it when we get out. Muyude coughed a few times. He thought to himself that he had to get some benefits after he got out. Otherwise, it would be a loss if he gave his body away for nothing. The celestial flow field and the 18 families are at war. After distributing the items, Jiangchen looked serious and said, "Did you see the battle outside Broken Sky Mountain?" "I saw it." Mu Yude nodded. He had been watching the battle from afar. There were many sects in the celestial flow field that were at war with the 18 families. Those sects had a deep foundation and were very powerful, but they were still a little weaker than the 18 families. Just like the battle outside Broken Sky Mountain. Although those sects had sent out many powerful cultivators, the battle was one-sided. They were no match for the 18 families at all. Actually, the battle between the 18 families and the celestial flow field has nothing to do with us outsiders, Mu Yude said. With our strength, we can't interfere in this battle at all. That's true. Jiangchen nodded. The most important thing now was to leave the bloody path as soon as possible. However, the bloody path was blocked by the 18 families. Now, there were people guarding all the major checkpoints. It was too difficult to force their way through. It was almost impossible. There were many powerful cultivators at Heaven's Decay Stage 5 in the 18 families. Any one of them guarding a checkpoint was enough to stop Jiangchen and the other trial takers. We can only hope to break out when the celestial flow field and the 18 families are at war and have no time to care about us, Mu Yude said. However, the 18 families were very powerful. The celestial flow field's local sects had not completely joined forces. Many sects even sided with the 18 families. Now, this battle was completely one-sided. The 18 families were crushing the celestial flow field's local sects. I have to think of something. Jiangchen frowned. If the native sects of the Flowing Heaven world were all destroyed, then the Flowing Heaven world would be ruled by the 18 clans. At that time, it would be even more impossible for Jiangchen and the other trial challengers to leave the bloody path. Mian Chang'e is probably thinking of a way to save you Myuba and the others, but I don't know if she can save them. Mu Yude sighed. Even if he is rescued, his strength will not be at its peak. How can he fight against the 18 families? The reason why the 18 clans turned against each other is probably because the time has come. They want to break the seal and leave this place. Jiangchen said thoughtfully. The place of the seal is at Broken Sky Mountain, and then? Mu Yude was stunned. He didn't know what Jiangchen was planning. Since we can't force our way through, why don't we negotiate with the 18 families? Jiangchen whispered. If the sealing point of the Broken Mountain is in our hands, do you think the 18 families will compromise? Mu Yude nodded without hesitation and said with certainty, Of course they will compromise. They are doing this to break the seal and leave this place. Then, let's take control of the sealing point. Jiangchen raised his eyebrows and poked Mu Yude. It's time for you to show off your tomb raiding skills. Mu Yude was a little confused. What did controlling the sealing point have to do with his tomb raiding skills? Moreover, there were many powerful cultivators on Broken Sky Mountain. There were even Heaven's Blight stage cultivators. He and Jiangchen were just 2 immortal state cultivators. Wouldn't that be suicide? You dig a tunnel, and I will be in charge of setting up the array. Jiangchen said in detail. You will start digging from here until you reach the bottom of Broken Sky Mountain. Then I will set up arrays and barriers to control the sealing point. Will it work? Mu Yude frowned. Arrays, barriers, and restrictions were powerful, but with Jiangchen's strength, would they be able to block the attacks of Heaven's Blight stage cultivators? Don't worry. As long as I have enough materials, I will be able to set up an array that even deities can't break. Jiangchen said confidently. Jiangchen looked at the white jade divine gold coffin in his hand and said, How about we use this? What the F***ck? Use this? Are we going to destroy it? Mu Yude shook his head. Using white jade divine gold coffin to set up an array? After setting up an array, all the essences in the materials would disappear. Using white jade divine gold coffin to set up an array would mean that the divine gold coffin would be useless. Do you have any other ideas? Jiangchen said. Do you want to stay here for the rest of your life? There are so many tombs out there that I haven't robbed yet. How can I stay here? Mu Yude said anxiously. However, if he really did that, he would die if anything went wrong. What are you afraid of? Just do it. Jiangchen patted Mu Yude's shoulder and said, as long as this is a success, 18 families will be nothing. Then, let's give it a try. Mu Yude hesitated for a long time before agreeing. Then, Jiangchen began to study the array. He planned to set up an extremely large and indestructible array to control the ceiling point. Mu Yude also began to move. He took out his specialty, tomb raiding. The most important thing in the art of tomb raiding was to dig. With Mu Yude's skill in tomb raiding, he was naturally very good at digging. In just a day's time, Mu Yude had dug from 10,000 li away from Broken Sky Mountain to 100 li below it. At this moment, Mu Yude did not dare to dig anymore. This was because Broken Mountain was right in front of them, and there were heavenly human elites guarding it. Now, if he dared to make any sudden movements, he might be discovered. By then, it would be difficult for them to escape. Wait, Jiangchen said. The local factions of the celestial flow boundary will definitely come and attack this place. When the battle breaks out, you can continue digging. I have no problem digging. What about your array? How's the research going? Mu Yude asked. Mysterious 9 array. Jiangchen raised his eyebrows. When I was just reborn, I deployed the small formation of 9 mysteries in the Qianzuan school. Now I have enough materials, and I even have white jade immortal gold. I only need some time to deploy a complete formation of 9 mysteries. Are you sure? Mu Yude was still worried. He felt that Jiangchen was not reliable. However, in Jiangchen's eyes, Mu Yude was not reliable either. You don't say. If you give me more materials, I can set up an Emperor's killing array. By then, even a heavenly human decay stage 5 would die inside. Jiangchen said, you're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.